like tempted to lay down. What's going on, everybody? How's it going? It's great to see you all. I like the music in the background too, very theatrical. So just for context, how many of you have never seen me speak live before? Raise your hands really high. Oh, I suck. All right, that's horrible. Hi, number one coach, just not here. Got it. Okay, good. So for the people that have never seen me live before, like, did you make the mistake of ever clicking on one of my ads and then I stalked you around the internet forever? Have you seen me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, something like that? Okay, so you guys have some context for me. If we're not connected on social, I'm a huge fan. Take lots of photos. But I see like some of you, like you're gonna take photos of the slides. Like that's stupid because you'll never look at them ever. But instead, I'm gonna give them the New World title. Then they'll just give you guys a copy of everything that I share. Is that cool? Okay, awesome. Makes it way better. So instead, I have to drink a lot of water today. That's awesome. Okay, good. And I brought water from like a river nearby, in case you guys are wondering. Or it's a bourbon, one or the other. By the way, if you don't laugh sometime during this event, you need drugs. I'm just going to tell you, because it's not that I'm funny, it's that the world we live in is pretty hysterical, and the stuff that we talk about in terms of business can be stressful, but if we laugh a little bit, that's just better for us. Plus, I'm here, and I can talk really fast, which is awesome. I have to go to Iowa soon, and shit, it's like, okay, write this down. All right. So I've got a bunch of outcomes. I don't know if you guys are going to take notes, but I highly recommend it. Not that what I'm going to say is brilliant or any of that stuff, but it's more about the tactics. It's the things that we need to do. So here's what I want you to consider. How many of you are 5 years or less in real estate? Raise your hands really high. 5 years or less. Okay, so, all right, so it looks like about half the room. How many of you are 1 year or less? Raise your hands really high. Okay, 1 year or less. Matter of fact, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Give them a giant round of applause. Right? Now, grab your seats and listen up. If you're 1 year or less and you're not successful in this market, you're fucked. Just heads up, right? Because the last 20 months have been full of tragedy and triumph. Yes or no, guys? Yes. Right? A lot of tragedy, no doubt, right? But in the real estate, in the housing industry, we have seen massive triumph. In the mortgage industry, massive triumph. We've seen people migrating and moving and doing all kinds of things that they probably would have never done before, buying second homes, buying more expensive homes, downsizing and not telling their kids where they moved, like all kinds of stuff, right? But here's the thing. I answer questions every day. Usually on Instagram, I'll just say, hey, I'm on an airplane. Who's got a question? Fire away. And there's like 7 or 8 questions I get all the time. But the new one that I'm getting over and over again is, I'm having my best year ever. And then I know what they're about to say, which is like, and I'm not exactly certain how I did it. I made a ton of money, but when I reflect back analytically, not emotionally, I'm not exactly certain how I got here. And that's where I spend most of my time, right? I was talking with a client yesterday, $400 million producer. Is that good? Okay, let me say it to you again. $400 million in sales. Is that good? Yes or no? Right? But here's the deal. He round-tripped a $62 million sale. Figure out, I know, you're like, oh yeah, suffer, suicide's the only option, right? But, 4% deal, 4% commission, round-trip, $62 million deal. So the reality is, he's really like a $280 million producer. Now you say, well, hello, suffer still. But see, his thing is, hey, I want to continue to go from 400 to 500 to 600, which is no different from someone sitting inside this room saying, hey, I did 18 deals last year. How do I go to 24? How do I go to 27? How do I go to 28? The game is, how do we reflect on what we did that works, continue to run those plays, and then add new plays? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yes or no? So I'm going to walk you. I have like 2.5 hours, and I talk really fast, and I probably got 130 slides. What I really want to do is give you guys a bunch of plays. This reminds me of old Yankee Stadium. Anybody? This is like every time I would go, I would be like the guy sitting behind the post, right? Like clearly I have a bad ticket broker. All right. So let's talk about what we want to do. 2 things. We want to position you guys to win. There's a lot changing in the digital landscape. A lot of my coaching clients in the room know this, that there's something you can do today that's absolutely FREE free that is generating listings and sales and business right now, but the real long tail on it is going to be tremendous. So we're going to talk about that. And then the second thing is we need to over-index right now on our database. So just for fun, tell your neighbor approximately how many people are in your database today. Just tell your neighbor, approximately, how many are inside there? These should not be complicated questions, people. You should know this. JB, what do you have? 100,000? Too many. Your database versus the business database are different. Yeah. My database is like 6,200, my personal, and then the company is like 500,000. Exactly. Exactly. All right, so let's jam. You ready? So the number one question I get more than anything else is, how do I take my business to the next level? So just for fun, can you tell your neighbor sitting next to you where the vast majority of your business came from in the last 20 months? And more importantly, can you tell them the plays that you ran to get it? Like, I made this many calls, I had this many meetings, I did this and this and this, I sent this kind of marketing. Just take a second and just tell your buddy, where does your business come from? And then what do you do to get it? Tell your buddy real quick, go. All right, so come back to me. Shh. So I could guess that the vast majority of you had said something like this. It mostly came from my database, or maybe someone said, hey, and I do some cold calling in my marketplace, or I used to do open houses. I got a little bit on social and digital, which is really all still your database. But most of you, if I said to you, can you break down the analytical plays that you run? Can you give me the scripts that you use? Can you tell me the frequency of how often you market to them? What's your email newsletter look like? What kind of social content do you do? What really gets the most results? What gets the least results? The vast majority of people, guys, look up here. We take a very a non-analytical approach to how we're building our business. And yet, like today, I have clients that are making $10 million a year, $20 million a year, $30 million a year selling houses. Selling houses, guys. The game has changed tremendously. This is now looked upon as an industry that people want to go into that came from corporate America that are now saying, wait a minute, like the guy that sold me my house was a dumbass, right? And he made $18,000 for opening up a door and basically negotiating a little bit. And I don't know about you guys, when I bought my first house at 19, I negotiated the deal for my agent because my agent was like stupid. You know what I mean? And she's a wonderful person. You have to be my dad's girlfriend's mom at the time. It was one of those, like, you have to use her because I'm sleeping with her. I'm like, got it. All right, good. Whatever. Kidding, not kidding. How many of you guys know who my dad is? You guys know Brian Buffini? Nah, just messing with you. All right. So the number one question I get is, how do I take my business to the next level? And I actually look at it analytically. So I'd love for you to do a little self-identification. Where are you, just looking at the right side of the screen, where is your business today analytically? Are you in a place where you're under 3 or 4 years in the business, you don't really know how you generate business, you haven't figured out sort of the foundational marketing principles, so maybe you're in 2, right? Maybe you're like, I just need to gain consistency, like this slide that keeps bouncing, right? Maybe you're like, hey, you know what I need to do? I need to be delegating more. I need to stop doing the mundane, and I need to focus on the highest best use of my time, which is like being with clients, right? Negotiating deals, being on appointments. Or maybe you're like, hey, it's time for me to grow a team because that seems to be the way of the world these days. Or maybe it's like, I got to get the team to do even more business. So just kind of answer honestly for yourself because self-awareness is key, right? Knowing where you are today so you can make the decision of where you need to go next, right? Versus you're not here for me to pump you up. You'll get motivated, but motivation ends very quickly, right? Instead, it's like, hey, I'm at expand my marketing. right? I've got the basics down. I know to use the MLS. I can write a contract, but what I need is more clients, and I need it with more consistency. So I want to listen through that filter. If you're like, I got marketing down, the problem is I do a bunch of marketing, then I stop and I work on a bunch of clients, and then I wake up and have nothing going on, and I start marketing again. How many of you know someone like that? Are they sitting in your chair? You with me? So you want to listen through the filter of where are you today and where do you need to go next? So here's my favorite question. And a lot of my clients know because I've been talking about this for the last 4 months. I hired a company called RDS. RDS is called Real Data Services. What they do is they basically take all the MLSs across the US and then they allow me to synthesize and play with. Because what I want to know is, like, in the last 31 years since I got in this industry, in really the last 14 years, kind of getting out of the REO market, we saw this a lot of trends. And the most important trend we've seen, look up here guys, is it's the rich and the rest. If you look at every MLS across the US, right, the very best are basically doing about 73% of all the transactions in volume right now. And there's very few left over for everybody else. Matter of fact, a fun fact is right now, guys, if you pulled up your own MLS, here's what you would see. 40% of the agents in the MLS have not closed a transaction in the last 12 months. That sucks, right or wrong? And they're paying fees and they're showing up and maybe they're part-time, maybe this isn't people that are under a team that aren't being reported. All those people get reported properly when we go deep into the MLS. So here's what we're seeing, right? I took the top 5 MLSs in the country and I basically said, show me the numbers. The first thing is that the top 1% of agents right now across the US are doing 17.2% of all the volume. The top 1%, and you can see in this case, we took a bunch of enormous MLSs totaling 186,000 agents. The top 1%, 1,857 people, they did 17% of all the business. The Jill Biggs of the world that are just dominating in their marketplace. 5%, the top 5%, they're doing 37% of all the business. The top 10% are doing half of all the volume. Now, this is either scary or it's inspiring, right? Because if you're outside of the top 10%, you're going, wait a minute, what's left for me? But look, it gets worse. The top 25% are doing 73.5% of all the volume across the US. Write this in your notes. You ready? Write this in your notes. Anywhere you're paying attention? Massive consumer flight to quality. Massive consumer flight to quality. Massive, that's what we're seeing right now. And by quality, guess what? Quality is basically 3 things. So you might want to jot this down because it's not going to be in the slides. Quality shows up in, ready? Consistent branding and marketing. Sound familiar, anybody? Right? I see her everywhere. Well, that's why she's successful. You with me? I was on a Tinder app and I saw her photo. I have a friend in the room that actually happened. It was actually my ad. Hey, look, you're everywhere. I was like, you're on Tinder. It was awesome. True story. So, but think about it. So the number one thing is in flight to quality, it's I see you everywhere. So if I see you everywhere, then all of a sudden you're the guy. You with me? That's how it works. And here's the funny part. I know brand new agents that have exposed themselves from a marketing and branding and positioning standpoint so well that perception becomes reality and they start getting phone calls. You guys with me on this? Anybody in the room like music? Any kind of music ever? Okay, so I'm the biggest David Bowie fan on the planet. And when David Bowie became Ziggy Stardust, anybody know what I'm talking about here? Do you want me to talk Lady Gaga? Would that make it better? Or Jay-Z? It's all the same, right? It's just, different body, different style of music. But when he came to the US, all they did was this massive positioning thing. They put him up at the Beverly Hills Hotel. They drove him around in limousines. They created this perception that he was an iconic rock star, and no one knew who he was. And then guess what? By the end of that tour, record sales through the roof. He had totally taken over America, not so much middle America, but the East Coast and the West Coast where all the people are. It's a perception game. You with me on this? So do me a favor, look your buddy right in the eye and say, you don't put out enough content. And I'm talking to all my besties right here in the front. But look up here. Shh. Understand. You hear content and all you think is a social video or a TikTok. Content is email. Content is direct mail. Content is the billboard. It's the bus bench. It's you showing up at the school function and having your brand on the coffee cups or the pencils that you give out at the elementary school. It's not just digital, my friends. It's your brand everywhere. That's who's winning right now. The second flight to quality, write this in your notes, is the people that over-indexed on reviews. The people that over-indexed on reviews, that when I Google you, what shows up is 1,000 reviews, 500 reviews, 200 reviews. Because today, I mean, okay, has anybody bought anything from Amazon this morning besides myself? Right? Like Amazon is just the place, right? So you're on Amazon and they're like, hey, we recommend that you buy this. And then what do we immediately look for? Do people like me buy stuff like this? What are their reviews? What are people saying? I don't care if it's a book, a television, it doesn't make a difference. Write in your notes, you ready? We are in the review economy. We are in the review economy. And if you're not over-indexing on reviews, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself, you're just not gonna do the amount of business that you could do unless you followed sort of the current social, strategy. So the first one is your brand everywhere, right? The second one is clearly review. But the third one, and the one that seems to mess with the most people, is you gotta be likable. And there's some dickheads in our industry, right or wrong, guys? And that could be male or female, in case you're wondering. Like, write this in your notes. Being nice is a marketing strategy. Being nice is I'm telling you, Tom, I don't like being nice. Well, how's that working for you? Right? Well, I'd have to fake it. Well, then you're in the wrong industry. Like, go to work for the government, work at the DMV, you'll be fine. Right? Oh my God, don't even get me started on the DMV. All right, I had to go recently and I was just like, hold on, right? I sent my assistant and tortured her. 73.5% of all the business is being done by the top 25%. So what does that tell you? If you're outside of the top 25%, you're fighting for the scraps, right? And if we went even lower and said the top 50%, guess what they're doing? The top 50% of the MLS are controlling 91% of all the volume. The top 50% are controlling 91% of all the volume, and we know the bottom 40% haven't closed the deal, so really like that final 10%, they're doing 9% of all the volume. So just play a game with me and tell your buddy, where are you now, to the best of your knowledge, and ultimately, where do you want to be? Because that's the bigger issue. Where do you want to be? Tell your buddy, go. You want to be like 0.1, 0.1. Yeah, oh, now we're talking. So here's the question, everybody. And by the way, look up here. Look up here, everybody. Shh. I absolutely honor that some of you are like, look, man, I'm just not that committed. Like, I just want to sell a house now and then. It's kind of fun. You with me on this? But see, look up here. My grandmother, Liz Wesley, who retired from real estate in 1974, right? She raised her six. My grandfather passed away like a week after I was born, so like never even met the guy. She was selling real estate for like Century 21, Huntington Beach, California. And when she retired in her 60s, you know what she did? She went out and bought a black Trans Am. Remember Smokey and the Bandit? That was my grandmother. She would like show up to our house and like peel out, right? But she made so much. First of all, she got into real estate because she had to. You with me? Where else can I go to manage 6 kids as a single mom and make enough money to take care of everybody, to take care of my kids? She goes into real estate and she slays it, absolutely slays it. She's the reason my dad actually got in the business, right? Giving you guys kind of the full picture. So here's the thing, like, she said to me, I don't have an option. The problem is a lot of people that are in this industry, they have too many options. And when you have too many options, you know what most people do? Nothing. So, show me a single mom back against the wall, and I show you the next #1 agent in her marketplace. You with me on this? Dead serious. Dead serious. And your background, if it's fucked up, even better. I'm dead serious. My parents were alcoholics, and my ex-husband's a deadbeat. You're gonna kill it. Right? I'm not kidding. And all the men inside the room, just try and figure it out. All right. So I asked you, where do you rank? But the bigger question is, as we normalize as a society, do you think this trend's gonna change? Do you think we're gonna go back to, I'm gonna listen to my next door neighbor because he's nice or she's nice? Or do you think the consumers and this wonderful little supercomputer that we all walk around with is gonna have such an impact? Or do you think this is just gonna go away and like it's not gonna be a big deal? I mean, listen, I was like listening to an Elon Musk podcast, and he's talking about Neuralink, which is awesome. Like, I'm super fan. Like, I'm definitely gonna plant that thing inside my head. I wanna be one of the first. You with me on this? Because the opportunity to basically accelerate your insight, wisdom, and knowledge and retention of information, for me, sounds like a really good idea. Does that make sense? And the like first mover advantage, massive opportunity for growth. Like, it's gonna be bonkers. And yet there's people inside this room that are like, I don't know, man, should I read? Like, the world is changing fast, yes or no, guys? You either lean in or you don't. And if you don't complain. It's 100% your fault. Right or wrong, guys? Right or wrong? You're like, this isn't very motivating. I don't care. Right? This is a business. This is a business. Now, where do you want to rank? And then the question is like, what decisions do you need to make? What decisions do you need to make? So, here's kind of, let's just get to the real scoop. Ready? Does anybody pay attention to what happened to Zillow in the last 24 hours? Okay, what do you think? Okay, hey, I'm gonna give you the same advice I have two boys, 22 and 20, and when they got their phones, like when they were like 12, 13, and early on, like all these different sites, and they were having all this fun, and I would say to them over and over again, don't post anything you don't want to show up 20 years from now. I've already pinged a couple clients that were like hating on Zillow, and I'm like, remember, they still control the universe. They are the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 sites on the planet. Post something negative, and then in 5 years, you're like, hi, I'd like to be a part of the new Zillow program. You don't think they're gonna go, nope. Make sense? They're not the enemy, right? Did they fumble? No doubt. Did they prove what we all kind of knew? Buying houses for too much money and losing is a bad idea? Yeah, we all got that one figured out. All right. But more importantly, there's a much bigger play right now. This is what I'm sensing right now, right? So if you weren't around in 2006, in the middle of 2006, I was traveling the country and the world, and I was telling all my agent friends, hey, you know what? Get rid of your second home, save more cash, take your Rolex and sell it. You with me on this? Like, stop sleeping with your assistant. Like, pay attention, man. Let's get some stuff organized. And they're like, what are you talking about? Because the market was on fire in 2006. And then I remember talking to my buddies who were, like my buddy Jimmy, who basically says single-handedly he is responsible for the subprime meltdown. He had a company called Barrington Capital out of Newport Beach, California. And if you could basically not even breathe, they'd give you a loan. Like, that's how crazy it was. But here's the thing. We watched the entire world shift. And I don't think we're in any way, shape, or form, make it very clear, we're not going back to a global economic crisis under any circumstances. You with me? That's not the case. But what is the case is commission compression. What is the case is that Zillow and Redfin and Quicken and Better and all these companies are all converting themselves into real estate companies, and they all want all of your money. And I don't mean as an advertiser. They want all of your commission. Is everybody with me on this? Okay, do me a favor. Turn to your buddy and say, he's talking to you. Now, this is how most people feel in 2020 and 2021. But heads up. This is like what's really going on. Guys, look up here. I'm predicting, like, for as long as I can remember, and forget that slide, for as long as I can remember, this was the real estate industry, right? 90% of all the transactions closed by agents, right? Making all the money, some for sale by owners, which is hysterical, they still exist. And then iBuyers, right, came in later, but you can see wholesalers there. But then look at the one on the right? We started to predict that iBuyers would be like 10% of the market. Now it looks like it's gonna probably be 1% of the market, and Open Door, and Keller Williams is launching their iBuyer program, and everyone's got one, and they'll buy and sell a few houses. Open Door, let's see if they make it, who knows, right? But here's the reality. What's coming is this. And if you're not paying attention, that one on the side, the green one on the right, that's what's happening behind the scenes. There are hundreds of companies today that have figured out it's better to not generate leads and sell them to you. It's better to generate leads and give them to you for a referral fee. And what we're seeing behind the scenes as a coaching company with nearly 10,000 clients is this widening margin of the number of transactions that now have a referral fee attached to it. Now, let's be clear. There's great referral fees, agent to agent, your buddy, right? Like, hey, I got an expired listing and it's not gonna make it. Why don't you take it, pay me a referral fee? Hey, my friend's moving across the country. You should do that. Those are great. And then there's what I call egregious referral fees, 35%, 42%, and by the way, they're going to 50%. Do you all hear me on this? Because if I can squeeze you for 35, why would I not go to 40? Why would I not go to 42? Relocation's been 42 for the last 25 years. Relocation, 42% referral fee off the top. Now, all it looks like is this. If you're making 100 grand a year, you're doing the same work now, and in the future, you'll be making 80. Instead of 100, you'll be making 80. That's what's gonna happen. And it's just gonna continue. Do you wanna know why? Do you wanna know why? Because the top 25% sell all the houses, and most of them don't market and brand themselves effectively, and a whole bunch of people come into this industry thinking, I love people, I love houses, this is gonna be fun. Was it fun? Do you wear leather at night and enjoy a good beating also? Like, define your level of fun, right? So the question is, what are you gonna do? The question is, what are you gonna do? And that's what we wanna talk about today. So I'm gonna go through this high level, but I wanna be mindful because I've got a lot of content to cover in a short amount of time. The very first thing is you gotta make some decisions about what you wanna do with your business. So do me a favor, just turn to your buddy and say, this is my business. Now, if you're like, I don't really know, my buddy just invited me here, I'm thinking about getting into real estate, you know, I work at a hair salon, I don't know, right? But look up here, guys, look up here. You move through uncertain times by making decisions about where it is you're going. So high level, I talk about the ultimate success formula. Here's all it is. First and foremost, you have to answer, what are you building? What are you building right now? How many of you are south of 70 years old? Raise your hands really high. You're younger than 70. Let me make that easier. Right? Like some of you are like, what? You're younger than 70. Raise your hands. Okay, heads up. We're going to live to be 150, right? Humans' lives are elongating. The only challenge is you damage your brain too much. But the human body is going to live considerably longer, right? You go back, we were dying at like 45, then we're dying at 60. Now it's like 80, 90, 100, 110, and you're not in India smoking weed like you're just a normal person at 110. Like, that's what's going on right now. So I have friends today, you all know who I'm talking about. My client, Maxine Gellens, she's 83 years old. 83. Wrap your head around 83. You with me? She's at $6.3 million in closed and pending commission year to date. Is that good for an 83-year-old? Hello? No, listen. But like you guys, like taxes, California, New Jersey, New York, right? So half it just goes right to taxes, right? But here's the dealio. At 83, she's like, I'm just getting started. She's like, I'm really starting to figure this out. I'm gonna start doing more content. I'm gonna shoot more videos. And she's been my longest personal client now of almost 22 years. But between her and her daughter and this small team, they'll do 120 transactions, and you can figure out the average sales price. They're in the higher end. And you know what she says? I have to continue to innovate and decide what it is that I'm building. And when we started like 15 years ago, really getting serious, she was building something for her daughter to take over. You guys with me on this? And then she's like, I'm set financially, so it's just about my daughter. Then Marty's like, well, I'm set, and any baseball fans? So Marty's oldest son caught for the Astros in the last 2 games, right? So he's 27 years old, he's backup catcher for the Astros. And here's the deal, if you're a catcher, you don't make any money until you're 28. And then you go from like 28 to maybe 34, 35. Both her boys, both went to USC, both are signed by the Astros, and both already have their real estate license. You know, because you know what they're thinking about? They're like, grandma, sweet grandma, made $6.3 million. Shit, if she can do it, right? But see, we're building this legacy brand and business that the boys can take over, and then maybe their boys can take over. But what are you building? What are you thinking about? Think about it, guys. You live at the epicenter of 17% of the GDP of the United States of America, called housing. It's kind of important, yes or no? If I were you guys, I would buy every vacant house I can buy around here. Only thinking about the long game. That's how significant it is. All right, So what's the dream for your business? And I'm gonna give you all the slides. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time here, but what's the dream is the first one. What's the greatest strength of your organization? And you know what you're gonna say? Me, my sparkling personality. Great, how do we operationalize around that? You be Madonna, let's put you on stage and let's build the machine behind you so you can just go be Madonna. Does that make sense? Right? The third question here is, what is the problem you wanna solve for people? Right? Are you the best at first-time buyers? Are you the best at relocation buyers? Are you the best at sellers that tried to sell and it didn't work out the first time? Like, what's your secret sauce? And look up here. If you have no degree of separation, then you have no degree of separation. You with me on this? Like, if there's no difference between your hotel and another hotel, you're just gonna get lucky now and then. But is there a difference between Motel 6 and the Four Seasons? What do you guys think? When you turn the lights off, it's all the same. Maybe the sheets are a little bit nicer at the Four Seasons, but they create a degree of separation. If you have no degree of separation, guess what? How do they select you? And you create no content, and you do no marketing, and you're not nice? The DMV is hiring, okay? Just saying. Now, let me go to the next one. What happens when you solve the problem? If you say, hey, the biggest problem right now in my marketplace is there's not enough inventory for the number of buyers that want to move in. And I specialize in helping people where there is no inventory. That's my angle. That's what I do. That's something that all of you could take on to a certain extent. Well, what happens when you solve this problem? What happens when you are all of a sudden getting inbound phone calls of, hey, we've been working with Sally. She's been showing us a bunch of houses, and then we write offers and we never get it. And we hear you're the queen of this. We'd like for you to help us. Like, that's what we all want, right or wrong, guys? You want to be known for something. If you're known for nothing other than he's a nice guy, right? That's not enough. So let's keep going. You ready? Who's the enemy of your business? And don't say Zillow because they're not. You with me? I think the enemy of your business is the bottom 50% of the agents. I think that's, and heads up, they're never going to go away. And Keller Williams just launched a new agent like company, right? And I'm not razzing Keller Williams, but smart move, right? Getting the downstream on the on recruiting. The point is simply this, my friends. Don't be shocked when there's 2 million people with an active real estate license at NAR and across all the MLSs. You want to know why? It's a huge moneymaker, right? They don't care if you never sell a house. Did you pay your fees? Keep up the good work. We're behind you all the way. Right? I'm gonna make a knock. It's kind of like the teachers union. You with me on this? Because they take those 2 million agents and then they use them to do government work. Do you all get that? Like, that's what your NAR money really is. It just is what it is. But who's the enemy of your business? Look up here. If you can, even if it's this, like, I'm gonna use an example. Even if I could say, I just wanna get Jill Biggs, right? I'm in Hoboken. And you know what? I listed my own home with her. That's how pissed I am, right? Like, she's that successful. It's okay. You don't want to be disrespectful to another top agent because that's just a bad idea. And that's just not the way any of us were raised. But there is something about she's number 1, I'm number 17. I'm going to put her face on my wall, and I'm going to strive to provide that level of service and marketing and what she's done to build my brand. I've worked with plenty of people that made the sort of proverbial dragon they wanted to slay the best agent in their marketplace. And then guess what happens? They get there. Does that make sense? But if you're not striving for something, you're selling a house now and then. Too complicated, too complicated. Let's go to the next one. All right, you ready? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down right now how many sales you're going to do next year. How many sales you're going to do next year? I didn't say to you what's your goal. Like if you have to buy one at the end of the year to close on it to ensure that you got to the number, I mean that number. How many do you promise to the real estate goddess? How many will you do? Yes. Paula's like, you or the team? Yes. Yes, you and the team. So here's the thing. You ready, guys? So just check your neighbor and see if they wrote a number down. And if they didn't, we're in Jersey, punch them. So what'd you write down? Oh, you can't have a transaction goal in mortgage? Hello? 60 million. Congratulations. What percentage refi versus purchase?
I have about, I'm going to say 80%.
That's a good business. Congratulations. All right, so come back to me. You ready? Shh. So check this out. Look at the slides really fast. I was flying from Jackson Hole to Dallas, and Kathy was like working on a deal she's trying to buy. So I'm like, I'm just gonna ask some questions on Instagram. So I went through on Instagram and I'm like, have you set your personal goals for 2022? 47% of the people said yes, 53% of the people said no. Have you created your business plan for 2022? 34% of the people said yes, and the balance said no. And I'm not talking small numbers, talking 2,251, right? Like a fair amount of people, right? Then I was like, wait a minute, have you completed your marketing plan? Since the number one thing that you do is you put out content and you market yourself and you create a trusted brand, have you created your marketing plan? And you can see the vast majority of people are like, no. I'm like, well, that's kind of scary. Then I'm like, wait a minute. Do you have a list of all the actions that you need to take between now and the end of the year to close the loops, to move into the new year with certainty and power? Do you know what you have to do? And you can see 32% of the people said yes, and 68% of the people said no. Now, here's my point to you, my friends. You don't have a lot of competition. If you just get clear on what you want, you are immediately moved up the ranks in this business, because the vast majority of people are what Zig Ziglar would always call a wandering generality. They're just here. They're just taking up air. They're drinking the coffee and using the free Wi-Fi. You guys with me on this? But a bunch of us, we walk in the office, we're like, today I got to get 2 appointments because I got to do 6 transactions in the next quarter. And like, you just have more certainty. And the moment you get that, everything changes. Everything changes. Now, do you think Jeff Bezos has goals? Do you guys know who Jeff Bezos is? He started a little company called Amazon. Do you guys want to hear an interesting one? Do you know the CEO of CoStar? Do you guys know who CoStar is? Yeah, that was his roommate in college. That's crazy. Can you imagine those two? Neither one of them dated anyone. You know that's like, they just sat there like, well, I'm going to be worth 70 billion. I'm going to be 100 billion, right? But if you think about it, like, Bezos just came out and said, I'm building real estate that's going to orbit the planet, real estate that's going to orbit the planet, and I'm going to lease 3,000 square foot working centers orbiting the planet. And some of you are like, should I have a goal? Do you think he has a plan? What do you guys think? You know, the 3rd or 4th richest person on the planet does not tell the public market, I'm going to build a solar system. Like, he's dreaming huge. And I'm trying to get some of my clients just to write down, I should start doing Instagram Reels. You with me? Like, I'm busting your chops with love. But here's the point. If you're vague, you get punished. When you're clear, you get what you want. It's that simple. How many of you are, who's single in the room? Who's single? Raise your hands really high. Single people, raise your hand really high. Okay, this is not like a meetup. But some of you should be looking around like, oh, prospects. So I've been married 28 years. Last Saturday was my anniversary. And thank you, I appreciate it. No, it's awesome. I've been married 3 times to the same woman and never got divorced. I just keep marrying her because it's just easier. You with me on this? I just keep romancing her, and that's how, it's kind of, it makes it more fun, right? Certainly better than hallway sex. You guys know hallway sex? You walk past each other in the hallway like, screw you, right? Like, I'm not into that. But I wrote down on July 17th, 1991, everything I wanted in the ideal spouse, and I met her 1 month later. Everything I wanted. Dark hair, tan skin, because I'm lily white and have to sit under an umbrella at the beach, right? So I was trying to change the skin tone of my kids. Like, I was very specific. You with me on this? Like, I'm not kidding. It just makes it easier, right? Needed her to be tall, right? Like, I had all these, like, this list of all this stuff. And then I also wanted, like, great family dynamics. I married into an Italian family. I came from, like, the German-Irish family where we all ate and no one talked. The first Italian dinner I went to, like, they're throwing pizzas around the house. I mean, it was just a shit show. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. And it was on my list. Everything I wanted was on my list. Do you have a list? Are you specific about, I'm not just talking single people. Like, do you have a list of goals you want to achieve? Do you have a list of things you want to do, places you want to visit, right? Debts you want to pay off, wealth you want to create, people's lives you want to change? If you're specific, you get it. But if you're vague, you get punished, and you deserve to be punished. Look up here. The government is not going to help you. Has anybody figured that one out? Think about it, right? Let's go. So what do you want to do? You want to answer the question, what does my ideal business look like? What does my ideal business look like? And then you want to say, how many transactions will we close? And what's the GCI going to be? And what percentage do I want listings sold versus buy side versus rents, right? What are the expenses going to be? Is it going to be 10%, 20%, 30%? You can't run a business at 0. 30%, 33%, 34% is fine, right? Then you're like, okay, but wait a minute, like, how much do I want to save and invest or pay off debts? How much time off am I going to schedule? And how many reviews do I want to add? If you answer all those questions and the seminar was over and you just left and you started on all that, 2022 would be bonkers. Does that make sense? Look up here, guys. Certainty is power. When I say, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm good at, I know who I want to serve, then you go out and you move the world. But when you're like, do you know this person? Like, I just don't know. How many of you know someone that every fucking answer is, I don't know? Don't you want to just punch them in the face over and over again? You're like, well, I know you're annoying. I just don't know. I don't know how to not be annoying, right? Like, oh, God, I don't know. This is what I do for a living, and this is great. Like, I love my job. All right. So the number 2 thing is you got to know your motivation. You got to know your motivation. And I don't mean external motivation. I mean internally what drives you. So I asked this question, right? This cute gal, she's like, how to make lots of goals for next year because I never did that. And I'm like, I don't know who this person is. I had no context for him. She's just on my Instagram, right? So I'm like, here's a framework to work with. You should have SMART goals. SMART is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and there's a time frame. Now, the questions I want you to answer look like this. What's going to motivate me to do more? Because look up here, guys. Look up here. You're doing and earning exactly what you're supposed to. That's it. Your income is in direct correlation to the value you deliver to the marketplace. That's it. That's the world, right? Deliver value, get paid. You're like, but I deliver value and I don't make any money. Well, then the value you deliver sucks, right? Then no one cares about the value you deliver, right? So like, you have to ask yourself, if I'm going to do more, do you guys get what got you here is not going to get you there. If I want to move up the ranks in the MLS, if I want to sell more houses and provide more value and serve more clients and make more money, I can't do the same shit I've always done. Right? So I'm always like, hey, if I want to go to the next level, like, what's going to be the driver for me? What is it that's going to inspire me to do it? How many of you have kids that you're aware of? Who has kids? Okay, do they want money or anything? Right? So like in the early days of my career, I would grab my 2 boys at like 8 and 10, and I would go like, look, if daddy can do ABC 1, 2, 3, new Xboxes in your rooms. And you know what? They'd be like, Dad, did you make your calls? Dad, you do your thing. Dad, blah, blah, blah. You know, why are you even home? Mom will make us food. Go back to work. Right? And anyway, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, it's the same thing. Like, and my boys are like I still manipulate them to hold me accountable, to do more of the things I know I'm supposed to do. Does that make sense? Funny, but it works, right? But the other one is this. And this is the one for me. If you walked into my apartment right now in Dallas, you would see on the mirror, like literally, it just says 2022, what am I no longer willing to stand for? And that, like I start making up a list below there. My wife's like, I better not be on that list. I'm like, baby. Right? But like literally, I have a list of things that I'm like, this shit is just not happening anymore. I'm over it. You with me? I'm tired of ineptness. I'm tired of people that aren't committed, right? I'm going to surround myself with people that believe the same way I believe. Like, I just start listening to this stuff out, and you know what happens? All of a sudden, like, I don't have to, like, set an alarm. You with me? Paul, I just get up and go, let's go, right? But I don't know which one's going to drive you, but here's what I know. If you don't find internally a reason to go do more, you will do exactly what you've always done. And the bummer is, we've had 17.4% annualized appreciation in the last 12 months in real estate in the US. And next year, we're going to have 5 to 6. And you know what all the headlines are going to say? Real estate prices have gone down. And what they need to say is appreciation is slowed. You with me? And when appreciation slows and interest rates go up and people are concerned and nervous and you don't market and you don't prospect and you have no reviews and you're not trustworthy, what do you think happens to your real estate business? You're in a moment right now, guys, and here's what's great. The vast majority of agents have already taken off. They're like, well, Halloween is here. And, you know, Thanksgiving is coming up. My family's coming into town. Where's your family from? 20 minutes away, but we have to start getting ready, right? And then it's the holidays, and then you wake up and it's January 15th, you're 20 pounds heavier, you have no listings, no leads, no appointments, no opportunities, and you're starting over. Here's the number. On average in the fourth quarter, 18% less transactions in the country. 18% less. So more agents aren't working, there's less transactions, which means there's an opportunity for all of you to do more, right? This is the time, if not to do more this year, to make sure that you're setting the tone for next year. All of the research phase buyers, all the research phase sellers, making sure that you start on January 1st, 7th, 5th, whenever you come back, like, I got all these people that I've promised CMAs to, I got to follow up on, I've already was at their house in November. Like, that's the game right now. Like, there's so much to do. So let's keep jamming. You ready? Number 3, you got to create a simple action plan, right? And I'm going to move beyond that because I'm going to give you a whole bunch of tactics, but I want to go to the next one. So action plan, we're going to do in a minute. The next one is you got to track and measure your results. Okay. Raise your hands if you know someone that put on the COVID-19. What? Put on the COVID-19? Like they got a little larger during the COVID-19? How many of you know someone like that? Where am I right now? Like, what is going on? Am I in Iowa and no one told me? People, the average human being in the U.S. put on a lot of weight during COVID. You with me on this? I love that some of you didn't. I was the same thing, man. I'm with you. But here's my point. Okay, ready? Whether you want to lose weight or you want to make more money or you want to pay off your debts or you want to improve the quality of your relationship, whatever you measure gets better. Whatever you measure gets better. There's a thing called NPS, which is the Net Promoter Score, which is what businesses look at to say, basically, how do people feel about my business? How referable am I? Your Net Promoter Score, if it's really high, then guess what? The emotional sentiment about your business is really high. Apple has an enormous emotional sentiment. People will wait in line for the same phone with a slightly bigger camera for $1,500. You with me on this? Because they love Apple. You with me? So people are like, well, how do you have a great relationship with your wife? I'm like, because I keep my Net Promoter Score at 8 or above. Hey, honey, how referable am I? Okay, what do I have to do to get better? Right? Like all of us need to ask yourselves, it's this, you ready? I'm like, hey, are your goals and plans up and visual or do you hide them from others? And look what everybody said. Most people hide their goals from others. Heads up. If I go to your office in the next 30 to 60 days and I don't see in 2022, we are committed to helping 72, 18, 97, 5,000, whatever the number is, buyers and sellers successfully close it. If I don't see that up on the wall, you're not in the game. If I see on there the wall and there's a giant, what looks like a thermostat, and it's like Tom and Kathy Ferry did the first one, Jill Biggs did the next one, right? And every name going all the way up, you know what happens? You do that, or you have a giant wallboard that says, I'm going to go on 100 appointments, buyers and sellers, in 2022. One all the way down to 100, and you're like, did the first one, did the second one, did the third one, did the fourth one. What happens? All of a sudden, you're like, 2 days have gone by, and you're like, oh. And then everybody at your office is like, Don't you love those people? Yes. I'm like, just bring on the, oh, you went to a Tom Ferry seminar, you're all motivated. Right? Right? By the way, can we give a giant round of applause to New World Title for setting this up? Right? I was talking with Rudy in the back. We were talking about degrees of separation, and he's like, I'm like, tell me about the story of your company. What are you guys all about? Why you versus somebody else? And at the end of the day, everything he said, I'm like, dude, you're just a people first business. You care about people. You care about your own people. You care about your clients. I go, that right there is a massive degree of separation in comparison to Fidelity National Title, right? These huge behemoth monster companies. Not saying there isn't nice people there, but there's something about that, right? So here's what I want you to do. If your goals aren't up and visual, they don't exist. Period, end of story. You with me? When my wife and I got married, we moved into we bought an REO, right, which was just awesome, right? This total beater house, and we fixed it up and sold it for a fortune. It was great. But we moved in, and literally, it's after the honeymoon. We walk in, I'm like, all right, baby, we're in the master bedroom bath area, and I'm like, okay, how much debt do you have? And she's like, in total? Maybe I should have asked this before we got married. She's like, 70,000. I'm like, 70,000. And I'm like, okay, I got 20,000 and I owe $114,000 on my condo, right? And I'm like, okay, let's you and I be debt-free within 12 months. And she was like, are you gonna do this motivational shit all the time? And I was like, yes, yes. Right, you know, because my wife and I are yin and yang. You with me on this? You all know what I'm saying? Like, if we're both the same, one of us isn't necessary, so it's all good. I'm like, we can do it. And she's like, chill. All right. But here's the thing. It took us 18 months and we were debt-free. 18 months later, we were debt-free. You want to know why? Oh, no. Listen, because we'd be like, do you want to have top ramen tonight or do you want to go out to dinner? Because top ramen equals debt reduction. You with me on this? I'm like, it's noodles, you're Italian, it's close enough, let's go. Like, let's just, you know what I mean? Because I wanted to be debt-free, I wanted to have that feeling. You with me on this? I didn't want to start our marriage in debt. I wanted to start it clean slate, tabula rasa, let's go. Had to get it up in visual, as soon as we did, we killed. That's the oldest line. When you measure performance, your performance improves. When you measure performance, the rate of improvement accelerates, right? We all know this, right? So here's number 5, you ready? Up your accountability. So do me a favor, tell your buddy, who is your accountability partner or two? Who's your accountability partner? Your coach, your buddies, right? Dan, Andy, me, your kids, rockstar redheads. It's a redhead accountability thing. All right, so look up here. Shh. How many of you have kids? Raise your hands really high. Okay, do you like them? So my older son is 22. He'll be like a 9th year senior coming up in college. In his like 11th grade, end of 11th grade year, like I barely got it. I went through 5 high schools, right? Like I was kicked out of 4. I got a GED, like that's how I got out. And it wasn't a lack of intelligence. I had ADD. I had attention disinterest disorder. You guys with me? I just didn't give a shit about what they were talking about, right? I was like, I could sell weed and make a ton of money. This is awesome, right? I got all these people here. This is great. It's a great business model. Not kidding. Here's the thing though, you ready? I remember sitting with my son and going, hey man, like what's your GPA? I didn't even know what that was, but I knew like that mattered because I have smart friends that went to college. So I was like, what's your GPA? And he's like, I don't know, it's like 2.7. And I was like, what kind of college can you get into with a 2.7 as a white kid? He's like, none. I was like, okay, cool. Like, what do you want to do? He's like, well, all my friends are going here. I think I want to do this. The truth is he'll probably end up being like, he'll either be an engineer or a lawyer or a serial killer, one or the other. Like it's just, he just is that way, right? He's just, right? So I'm like, probably, you know, like, yeah, he's my kid. I can say that. Here's the thing. I sat him down. I'm like, look, man, like, why is it a 2.7? You have the emotional intelligence. You have the IQ. Test off the charts. Like he's almost too smart. But I'm like, but he doesn't apply himself. So you know what I did? I'm like, hey, man, I'm going to hold you accountable every week. I'm going to say to you, just like I would say to a coaching client, hey, you said you go on that many appointments? Did you close this much? I'm like, hey, did you turn in your homework? Did you do all your assignments? In the first couple of weeks, he was like, I did, lying his ass off, right? You guys have kids. You know what I'm talking about, right? So I just kept holding him accountable. And by the time it finally mattered, when he started doing his SATs, which he scored off the charts on, right, he's getting like a 3.5 because of 1 year holding him accountable. Just 1 year. Like that was it. Like, and that was my kid. What do you think happens if in your business, someone finally says, hey, every day you got to make 10 calls to your database and you have to text me every day and tell me you did it, yes or no, right? After a while, guess what happens? It goes through the roof. So you got to decide, like, how are you going to create that for you? Here's number 6, and then we'll switch gears and talk about how we get more referrals and position ourselves. The number 6 thing is, if you wake up in the morning and your calendar is empty, you're not even in business. Your calendar, by the way, should look pretty much the same almost every day, yes or no? There should be a morning routine that fires you up. There should be some things that you do when you get to the office that make you a really good agent. Your day should be then full of either appointments or showings or contract negotiations or making sure deals are getting done, getting your marketing done, shooting content. And then I say to people all the time, they're like, I'm just not happy with my performance. I'm like, give me your phone. I look at their calendar. I go, that's why. Because here's the thing, ready? If that was your day and you repeated that 5 to 6 times a week, you know, morning routine that gets you fired up, by the way, capturing it on social. Hey, working out, like here we go. And you know what? People are like, oh my God, I work out too. I want to buy a house from you. That's how I'm not kidding, guys. And if you're like, and I work out at this gym, they're like, I work out at that gym. Here's $20,000, right? Like, it's a weird thing. If you have some kind of morning routine where you like do your gratitudes or you pray or whatever it is you do, post that also. I post my gratitudes all the time. Hey, I'm grateful for this, grateful for that. And I see people like, yeah, I'm grateful too. Like, that's a great way to start the day. Office at the same time, capture it. Hey, I'm the only one here at the office. Early bird gets the worm. Of course, I have to make the coffee, turn the lights on, and everything else. Number 3, your business morning routine. Daily hot sheets every day, like religion. Because if you don't know the new listings that just hit, or there is none, or the pendings, and what's going on, and hey, days on market, and what's going on, we just had 2 expired listings. We haven't had those in a while. What's happening? It's market intelligence. And by the way, the best video you could shoot every day, hey guys, just doing my market intelligence. Would it shock you to hear that in the last 3 days, we've had no new listings come on the market, and yet I've had 16 inquiries of buyers wanting to buy a house right here in our marketplace between $350,000 and $600,000. And isn't it interesting? No homes, massive demand. That's the market we're in right now. Just want to keep you in the loop. Boom, video's over, and you move on to the next one. Role play, because practicing is a good idea, yes or no? Yes or no, guys? Because practicing on a seller that could be your next listing, that gets you 5 or 6 more transactions because of everything you do, that's a bad idea. You were talking about role-playing yesterday, right? Like in your office with your team. Tim Smith is the #1 cold banker agent on the planet. We had a 30-minute coaching session yesterday. 15 minutes of it, we were practicing what he was going to say to a seller to get a $5 million reduction. The seller's super analytical, and we're role-playing. And this guy is a genius when it comes to what to say. But he knows if I practice on you, I can work out the kinks and then go talk to the client and sound great. Does that make sense? Okay, and yet most of us don't do it. Interesting, huh? Who has kids? What do you say to your kids? Okay, this year for the holiday performance, don't practice anything. Just go out there and wing it. Just see what happens. Everyone's dancing left, go to the right. Just have fun. Right? You would never do that. You're like practice, 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 memorize, 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 rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. And yet here we are, we can make $10 million a year. We're like, practice? Scary. 5, manage your business, transactions, etc., and go on appointments. That's your day. But if I don't see that in your calendar, if it's not in there, it doesn't exist. Does that make sense? Okay, so just stop for a second. Tell your buddy, just of those 4 or 5 things, what did you write down? What was most important for you before we transitioned? Just tell your buddy real quick. What was most important for you? What hit you the most? What was it for you? Yes, you. Yes. What was it? Yell it out. We're going to have to work on her being too shy. All right, so come back to me, everybody. Come back to me. Shh. So my hope is that you got, I need to be very clear on what it is that I want. That I got to be like crystal clear, right? My trainer, Rich, if you follow me on Instagram, super yoked guy back in Newport Beach. He's like 28-inch waist. I'm like, screw you, but he wrote it down as a goal, and he went from 30 to 28. Same thing, right? Get it up in visual, create some accountability, have it be in your schedule. These are the basics, my friends, and if you're not doing them, awesome, you're nothing but upside opportunity. Now, let's get very tactical for a minute about positioning. So tell your buddy right now how many reviews you have on your Zillow profile. Tell your buddy real quick. How many reviews? Mortgage, same exact thing, right? Title, mortgage, same thing. I got you. Just using that as a basis. Now look up here, guys. Shh. So look up here. Look up here. Shh. So raise your hands. Raise your hands if you have a Google My Business page. Raise your hands really high. Raise your hands really high. So all my friends in the room, look around. All my clients, coaches, pay attention. Less than 20%. How many of you are familiar with a website called Google? How many of you know that it is the world search engine, and the whole game today is, look up here, guys. All my veteran friends, we lost the game for search for listings a long time ago. No one goes to your website looking for houses. They go to Zillow, they go to Trulia, they go to StreetEasy, they go to Realtor.com. Heck, they even go to Redfin, right? They go to all these different sites. The game and the battle today is the search for the hyperlocal agent. And the Google My Business page is the first spot. If you don't have it done, you need to do it today. So here's what I wrote down. You ready? You should Google a few of your competitors, because you're going to see your competitors probably have the same thing. I was in Houston, Texas, recently doing a gig, and it was the only one, Paula, out of all the summer little kind of warm-ups before the summit that I went out and did. It was the only place I went where 95% of the room, there was like 1,000 people in the room, 95% had no Google My Business page. And like the Jamie McMartins of the world, a bunch of our coaching clients, they were like literally doing this. Shh, don't talk about this. Shh. Because Jamie will do 400 transactions this year in Houston, average sales price about $550. Unbelievably powerful agent, super great person to be around, giant heart, everything you kind of expect from like big Texas kind of gal. But here's the thing. She heard me talk about it last August, not this year, but in 2020, built it on the spot, started doing all the things we talked about. She's like, it's the number 4 driver of listings in my business. Do you all hear what I just said? It's the number 4 way she gets listings, and she's only a year and a few months in. So what you want to do is you want to claim your profile, just like you did on Facebook or Instagram and all that same stuff. The difference is when you claim it, you're going to build your page with your first and last name, your business name, your address. And by the way, you don't have to write this down, because you can just go like this. Hey Siri, how do I build my Google My Business page? Or go to Google and go, how do I build my Google My, right? How many of you have a 13-year-old or a teenager? Who's got a teenager? Just go, here's a bag of weed, build my Google My Business page. And they'll be like, oh, for sure. It'll be awesome. Kidding, not kidding. So you ready? Shh. If you go there and you start to build it and you're like, wait a minute, somebody in my office already has it, the unique factors are the business name, which you would just put your first name, last name, comma, the business name. You with me on that? Tom Ferry, comma, Ferry International, because there's a Ferry International page and a Tom Ferry page. The unique factor is the office address. You can't use your home address. You have to use the physical office address. And then the third factor is your cell phone. So once you get that, you're live and you're ready to go. But here's what you want to get. By the way, this is one of my clients, Massimo. Massimo is the #1 RE/MAX agent on a little island outside of Italy, not like down south and north. And he builds it last August, same thing. And you can see on his page, he has 104 Google reviews. He's got all the listings you can see down below. He's doing everything that we're talking about. And he's like, Tom, when somebody is coming to my island or they're searching for property, they all go to Google. So I don't care if you're in Sydney, Australia, you're in Sardinia, where he is, or you're in New South Wales down in Australia, or you're in Passaic. Am I saying that right? Yeah. Okay, Passaic, right? Same exact thing. You got to get right on Google. Now, the real key is this, guys. Just read it real fast. Bright Local says, agents with 100 or more photos that they added to their GMB page get 520% more inbound FREE free phone calls. They get 1,000% more people going to their website for free. But here's what you have to understand. The same study showed the average agent had 10 photos on there. Right? 10 photos. So when you write this in your notes, because it's not going to be in my slides, write down everything that you love and everything you love about your town. There should be a photo on your page. Everything that you love. I love Rhodesian Ridgeback dogs. Good. You and your dog over and over again at the dog park. You know what happens? People are like, that's a beautiful dog. I like that guy. Here's $20,000. Do you all, right or wrong, do you guys get that? They're like, oh my God, he wears glasses like me. I like him. I'll buy a house from you. Consumers are strange, right? The way that they're selecting agents today is reviews, is brand, is likability. So if you ride a BMW motorcycle and you're a part of that pack, awesome. If you go to this church, show that. If you like these parks, these restaurants, if you're a foodie, if you like beer, whatever it is, be you. Does that make sense? Don't hide yourself. Show what you're about, because guess what? Vizsla, dogs that have, people that also ride BMW motorcycles and you go to the same church as me, here's $20,000. Does that make sense? Well, Tom, I don't like anything. You're a serial killer. All right. Just look at the numbers in the bottom left corner. Look at the numbers. So Google actually will tell you how many people are looking at your photos. People that have GMBs, right? You can see it says GMBs with 100 plus photos get 520% more phone calls. But you know what they're doing? They're going like this. Do I like him? Is he like me? Can I connect with this guy? He's got a good look. I like his energy. Oh, he goes to the same places. Oh, I love that place, right? And also they're like, this guy's legit. Like, he's my guy. That's what they're doing. And they're obsessed with photos because you see it on Instagram and everything else, right? But look at this. Google will then tell you once a month, hey, your 59 photos got 2,317 total views last month. Hey, your 637 photos got 9,600 views last month. Your 213 photos got 15,000 views. Look up here, guys. That's more than what your website gets. Do you all get that? Yeah, just heads up. 90% of customers are more likely to visit a page with lots of photos, right? It's common sense. By the way, anything you do that is special, unique, if you have a first-time buyer program, if you have your partnership with New World and you're like, hey, this is who we are and this is what we're all about, and that's in a PDF or in marketing, all that stuff you should be adding to your GMB. Write this in your notes because it's not in the slides. Just write this down. You ready? Every button or tab that can be filled, fill it. Because it all plays into the Google algorithm. Every button or tab that can be filled, fill it. Right? Products, video, photos, adding addresses, everything should be inside there. Now, we know this one, right? Do people want to work with people they know, like, and trust? The answer is 100% yes. So what do we need to do? Over-index on reviews. So I want you to set an intention right now. You ready, guys? If you're going to sell 24 houses next year or 24 houses next month, whatever your goal is, you should literally have a 2-to-1 ratio of reviews on your page. For every transaction you do, I want 2 reviews. Because someone you showed property to who just was out there and you helped them and you showed them around, but they decided not to buy, that it was a bad time, can they still write a review? What do you think? Someone that reached out to you from across the country who's a real estate agent in Kansas and said, hey, I got a client, they're thinking about moving to your area. Could you give me a little insight on ABC 123? And you do. You know how I end my phone calls now with people when they're like, hey man, Ferry, I just want to talk to you. Can I pick your brain about something? I'm like, yeah, by the way, CEO of that company, can you write a review on my business page? And they're like, yeah, of course. And all of a sudden, CEO of Remax is writing a review. I spent some time with Tom Ferry, asked him to pick his brain, blah, 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 blah. He's a legit guy. All those things add up. Does that make sense? How many of you are with me on this? Okay, so I want you to consider the following. You ready? I think in 90 days, Google is going to launch a map that looks a whole lot like the Zillow map of your transactions. And when Google launches it, you know what the map's going to look like? It's going to show the location of all the people that gave you a review. It's going to show the photos in the parks and all the places that you go to. It's going to show your office address. And then it's going to show every house that you sold and every transaction you did. And people are going to be online and they're going to go, that gal knows this area. She is my choice. It's the hyper-local game that we're trying to play. So I hope you guys get that. All right. By the way, every review you have on Zillow or StreetEasy or wherever you got them, you should take the review, superimpose it over a good-looking photo of you, and post them on your GMB. Does that make sense? Just photo of you, 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 your face, your face, your face, your face, with the, oh my God, Jill helped me, Paula did this, right? Like everything about that review, just posted right on the photo, put it inside your GMB. Google will see the photo, acknowledge you, but they'll also read the words and write this in your notes. You ready? A great review has 3 elements. Your first and last name. Every great review has 3 elements. Your first and last name. Paula Clark. You with me? Doesn't even matter what the company is, just Paula Clark. The second element that has to be in your review is what you help them do. Help me buy my first home. sold our house. You with me? And the third element is the city that it was done in. So what do you think is going to happen when all of a sudden Paula has 250 reviews on her page that say, Paula Clark bought or sold, whichever one it was, in city X. Then when someone does this, hey Google, who's the best real estate agent in city X? Google goes, scrape. Well, Paula Clark's got 250 reviews, and she helps a lot of people buy and sell this. And she's got 175 reviews on her GMB. The only thing that we care about, we're Google. We don't give a shit about Zillow and anything else. Bam, she shows up. Does that make sense? Now, all that sounds easy, but look at the data. Look at the data if you can kind of see it on the right side of that screen. So you guys all know Brandon Howell, right? So some of my clients in the room from Phoenix, Arizona. So Brandon's been a client forever. Brandon does like 500 deals a year. He's a beast of a human being, 4 kids, happily married, runs this great team, not a brokerage, just a great team. But he's in my office at a mastermind in March, and I'm like, hey, ding ding, you and I have been friends forever. I was on your Google My Business page. You have no photos, no information, nothing. It's kind of like your LinkedIn profile that you built like 14 years ago, right? Just haven't seen it since. I'm like, by the way, you don't even work at RE/MAX anymore. Now you're out. He's like, oh God, you're right. But I created a little accountability with him. He started adding photos. He started getting reviews. And now he's sending me screenshots like, Ferry, I got 3,313 searches that people were searching in Google. And here's what I want you to get. 2,300, if I'm reading that correct, 2,000 of the views came because they typed in realtor. You know when you go on Google and you start typing in a word and it starts filling in the blank? They're typing in realtor, and it goes, do you mean in Peoria? Because that's Brandon Howell. Do you have that currently happening for your business? Okay, so I got a bunch of my clients in the room. They're going, yes. And the rest of you are like, huh? But wouldn't it be nice if people were like, because they're, it's Google knows exactly where you are at every moment of the day. And they're like, oh, you're in Passaic. And they're like, realtor. And it's like, in Passaic? And then they give you the agent. You want to be that agent. So we got 2,000 people that found him because they just typed in realtor. And then 249 and 244 actually typed in his name. And then how about realtor in Arizona? And he showed up. Arizona's a pretty big state. And he lives in this little town. And they went, oh, realtor in Arizona? You mean Brandon Howell? And they're like, no, we were thinking about Scottsdale, which is 60 miles away. How cool is that? What do you guys think? Okay, so, I don't know. You guys tell me. You can cold call. You can, or they can just call you. But how about this one? The blue line represents the amount of views on his page of photos. The red line, which by the way is death, is the other agents in his marketplace that don't have a GMB. So his competitors in Peoria, they have nothing and they're getting nothing and he's getting all these views. And you're just like, well, who cares about views? How about 18 people just called him directly and said, hi, we'd like to buy a house. Hi, we want to sell our home. Okay, do me a favor. Look at your buddy and say, you don't have to do this. No, say it. Say, you don't have to do this. Matter of fact, let's play a game. Let's play a game. I want you to instead say to your buddy, please don't do this. Right? Especially if they're in your office. You're like, this is a stupid idea. All right. So let's keep jamming. You ready? Let's talk about plays that work. But before we do, let's just really fast, close the loop, write in your notes. What are you actually going to do? What are you actually going to do? Rudy, do you remember like 6 years ago, it's almost 7 years ago, the Netflix stock was at $365 a share, right? And a whole bunch of us inside this room, we were sitting in Palm Desert, California, and a longtime buddy of mine, a Jerseyite, Gary V, was up on stage, and Gary's just being Gary, and he ends, and he says, let's do some Q&A, and my client David from New York City raises his hand, he's like, hey, Gary, if you got some extra money right now, what company would you invest in? He goes, I'd buy Netflix. What's the next question? He didn't say, well, you might want to think of that. He was like, buy Netflix. What's your next question? Now, I'm in the back of the room, and all my friends know this. I'm like this. Keith, how much cash do I have in my Merrill Lynch account? And he texts me back. He's like, I need a minute. I'm like, fucking hurry. Right? So, like I can imagine him click, click, click. This is how I type, by the way. Click, 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 right? And he's like, you got this much money. I go, put it all on Netflix, right? And you the bubble, the bubble, the bubble, the bubble, and then it goes away because he's like trying to say to me, Netflix is a bad idea. Don't buy that company. And then he's like, tell me why. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's my money. You're my guy. Put it on Netflix. And he was like, the Merrill Lynch guidance is, and I'm like, just put it in Netflix. I'm going to fire you, right? 365, right? It went to 706 months, then it split 7 ways, and what is it at today, 600? So here's the thing. What I'm saying to you about your Google My Business page is buy Netflix. And what'll happen is a third of you will go, I'm doing it, and you're going to take action. And a third of you will be like, you wrote it down, and it made sense, but you don't understand. Or you do, I don't know. You're just that person, right? And then a third of you are like, I don't even understand, like I'm not really into technology. Say that to your clients next time you're on deployment. I'm not really into technology. As you get in your car with a GPS, have a supercomputer in your hand and everything else, it's kind of silly, right? Like you can figure it out. You have a 13-year-old. Okay. So here's the next thing. You ready? I don't believe in theory. I believe in running plays that work. You guys with me? Like it's my 4th book. That's the title of it. I kind of have it sitting on the shelf right now because I'm not sure what to do with it yet. But the concept is basically this. After you've done like 40, 50,000 hours of coaching, which I've done, and you basically can you can meet somebody and go, she's going to do it. Oh, you're at 60 million and you know how you got to 60 million and you know all the things that you do that eat up all your time and we can eliminate those and go to 100 million. We run plays at work, right? You guys football fans? Anybody? Who's your team? Dolphins. That's smart. Right? Any Jets fans, anybody? Oh, congratulations. Sorry for all of you, right? But here's the thing, ready? Whether it's the Jets, the Dolphins, it doesn't make a difference. I'm a Laker fan, diehard, right? And I live in Dallas, which is crazy, but like old school, right? Like it was very simple, right? When it was Shaq and Kobe, you're on the wing, throw the ball into Shaq, dunk, over and over and over and over and over and over. Why? Because you couldn't stop him. It was a play that... And yet, I know agents that wake up in the morning and say, what shall I do today? Right? No, you got to figure out what are the plays that work. So I'm going to give you like 8 different plays that I know work. And this goes under remember, action items, like inside of your 6 things. So let's talk about it. Ready? We asked a whole bunch of our clients, many of them inside this room, we're like, what's working right now? Like, what's working? So to give you context, I was referring to what's getting you listings, and it was north of 60% of all their listings all were basically chunked under one thing called their database. But I'm more analytical. I understand that you have people in your database that you've worked with and people that you haven't worked with. You have people in your database that are real estate agents across the country. You have a lot of different people. So we broke down the cohort. So you want to take a look at this real fast. Ready? In order, that's where the listings came from. So the biggest percentage of their sellers came from people that they know that they finally decided to sell and they called. You with me? That was the number 1 source. Number 2 was past clients who said, hey, I want to move to Southern New Jersey, AKA Miami. We're selling our house, right? But then it was your sphere that knows you and likes you and trusts you but hadn't transacted with you that they referred you to somebody else because they like you. They know what you're all about. You have a Vizsla dog and you like to drink IPAs and so do I. Here's $20,000, right? Then it was your past clients that referred you. Then it was sellers from agent to agent referrals, which my clients all know, like that's like coaching is free, right? It's all about the agent-to-agent referrals. Then older leads that you nurture that finally decided to sell. So there was actually 6 different cohorts, but the plays, oh, you got to know this. You all know this, right? You all read the NAR report? Oh, man. It's really good that we're here. All right, ready? There's only 3 sellers happening at scale right now. Downsizers, trade uppers, and super seniors. That's who's selling. People that are like, they're downsizing. Oh my God, I bought a house here for $400,000. It's now worth $1.2 million. I have $900,000 in equity. My kids have moved on. I'm going to go from the 4-bedroom, big house in a backyard. I want to be in a downtown, high-rise condo, whatever it is, and I'm going to take the cash, and I'm going to go buy a second home, or I'm going to help my kids buy a house. We're seeing that at scale happening in the U.S. right now. It's almost the way Europe has been for 1,000 years, right? Nobody sells. They just keep passing it down to the kids. Trade uppers, ready? Anyone that bought a house in 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, Their equity has skyrocketed beyond what's happened in the last 20 months. And they've all said, screw this. I don't have enough house. My family's getting bigger. I want more. I want the house on the lake. I want the house on the water. I want the view. And they're doing it at scale. They're selling the small house and they're moving up. But all the real money is in the super seniors. All the real money is in the super seniors. You with me? And I'm not talking 90. I'm talking like 65 and above. 65 and above. They got married, they bought a house, and they paid it off. And they're like, I have $900,000 in equity. I don't like my kids. Let's go do something. So my question for you is, how are you marketing to all of them inside your database? What is your message to all of them? Here's, by the way, the numbers from NAR, right? And you're all going to get it. So, Rudy, I'm giving you guys the slides, and then you guys give the slides to everybody, right? So, cool. All right. So, you ready? There's 8 things that my clients do that seem to work. So, let's talk about plays that work. Number 1, tell your buddy, how often, if I was on your email list, do I get an email from you and what day? How often and what day? Tell your buddy. How often and what day? Tell your buddy. All right, now look up here. Shh, look up here. This should sound like this. Infrequently, and I have no idea. Or it's every Tuesday, and it goes out at 9 o'clock in the morning. There's only 1 or 2 answers. You with me? Look up here, guys. Emotional sentiment right now, I don't know if I put it in the slides. Maybe I did. Oh, by the way, look, Jill Biggs, right? And Monica Carr, right? An East Coast and a West Coast, 2 clients. I love that. Like, before you sell, refresh, right? It was one of those, I was like, that's a really good idea, because people that are selling their house, what's the first thing that they do? What do I have to do to fix up my property so I can sell for the highest possible price? So Jill understands this, so here's all the refresh tips, and all the people that are thinking about selling, of course, you're gonna click on that and be interested. And then Monica's like, should I update my home before selling? Same exact question, different headline. Monica led with a video. Jill's was in the form of a blog. Here's the point, my friends. Every single week, they're sending this information out. Timmy Smith, who's my personal client in Newport Beach, he sends out an early in the week, like Tuesday, and then he sends out a Friday. The Tuesday is like, here's my content, here's what's going on, here's some new listings. Friday is, here's all of our open houses. Now, his email newsletter is like 60,000 people. Think about that. He's a real estate agent. But Timmy was at $11.7 million in commissions paid year to date. Is that good? I mean, he can't live off it, right? It's a good start. But you do it 6 or 7 years in a row and you save some money, it works out. But here's the thing, you ready? What I want you to get is, all these things are easy and tactical. But this is the stuff that is moving the needle right now. So an email newsletter showcasing your top video. Here's the listing I just took, or here we are around town, or this is me driving through this community, helping you understand who the builders are, who the developers were, the type of properties that are there, the demographics, like what's going on in this neighborhood. You're being like, you know when someone says, hey, I'm new to town, can you show me around? You all know what I'm saying? Like a buyer, what do? You're like, okay, this is where the traffic is really bad, and around between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock, instead of going this route, you want to go this way. This is the coolest beer garden in town. This is the place where all the kids hang out, right? You're doing that. That should be a video that you email to your entire database. People are like, how do you get so many views on your video? I'm like, well, hopefully I put out good content, but every Tuesday and Thursday, I email to 450,000 people. Make sense? Right? That's how you get big distribution. Your video content should be the centerpiece, but you could do market updates, local news. Happy Client of the Week is a great idea, and home improvement tips, because that's the first step between selling. So you guys got that one, right? Emotional sentiment, what do you basically see when you add it up, right? It's about 60% of the people want something every week. Some people want it every day if it's really important. Now, the solutions, CRM, I like Boomtown, BombBomb, MailChimp, Aweber, but heads up, Google and Microsoft are not email service providers, right? And if you are sending a lot of email from your Google or your Microsoft Outlook, and somebody says, this is spam because you added them in, you could lose all of your account. So you always want to have a separate email service provider, and you do not want to spam under any circumstances, right? All right, let's keep jamming. Number 2, you need to over-index on phone calls, text, and personal connections with everybody in your database. So play a game with me. Everybody grab your phone real fast. Grab your phone. Go to your contacts, scroll to the bottom, and tell your neighbor how many people are in your phone. Go to your contacts. By the way, if your contacts are hidden on your phone, that's a bad sign. Open up your contacts. If you're scrolling on an iPhone, you could just go to the far right, find the pound sign, hit it, and you're there. How many do you have? Okay, so close to 1,000. What do you got? 1946. It was a very good year and a funny movie with John Belushi. It was, 1946. How many you got? 7,100? Oh, 721. 721. Okay, so watch this. Shh, so look up here, my friends. So here's what I want you to get. You're super interested? I only have one. It's Kathy Ferry. Hi, honey, I love you. Over and over again. I actually just purged mine. I am now down to pound sign 5,659. But those are people that I know. I actually know those people. You with me? That doesn't, like I have 450,000 people in my database, but these are like friends, clients, people all over the world, yada, yada. Here's my point. You ready? Shh. So we did some research with a company that basically does all the data mining of real estate, and they were able to basically tell us the following. Between the property data and the social data, write this in your notes. Ready? 6 to 8% of the people in your phone are thinking about selling right now. 6 to 8% of the people in your phone are thinking about selling right now. Right now. Not my phone. Yes, even your phone. Poopy pants. Like, yes, everyone's phone. Now, if you're 18 and your phone is full of all your 18-year-olds, okay, I'll give you a pass. Right? But most of us in this room are older than 18. So how many people do you have in your phone? 3,000 times 6% sounds like a lot. But see, here's the deal. You ready? In your phone, you have basically 3 categories of people. People that you really know, that you talk to all the time. People that you met once and you connected with, and you kind of know them, but you would see their face and like, aha, right? And you'd be like going through the grocery store and you'd be like, I know, did I go to high school with that person, right? They're them. And then you have people that are in your phone, you have no freaking idea who they are. You guys with me on this? Right? No, yeah, we need that, right? We need the little note that says, how did I meet that person, right? Drunk at bar. Got it. Okay, good. But here's the thing. You ready? All of them, 6 to 8% of them are thinking about selling their house. All of them. So some you've got greater opportunity with because they know you, like you, and trust you, and you've established this relationship. Some, they know you from afar. Maybe they follow you on Instagram. Maybe they're seeing what you're all about, but you never talk to them. You with me? So they have 9 other agents that live in their community, but there's opportunity. Then the balance, there's real opportunity. So here's the game. You ready? 5542 between now and the end of the year. Write it down. 5542. If I was your coach, this would be where we would start. 5542. I want you to talk to 5 people every day in your database that you know them and they know you. Past clients, true sphere. You with me? You call, they go, Larry, what's up? Right? They don't go, huh? You with me? 5 of those. Then 5 conversations with the people that are the outliers. You don't totally know who they are. You're not sure why they're in your phone. You might remember you met them at an open house because it says Tom Open House 1234 Banana Street. Does anybody else do that in your phone? Right? So you're like, remember we met at that open house 1234 Banana Street? I know you guys didn't buy that house, but I just wanted to reach out, connect, and you with me on this? Then 4 is 4 lead follow-up conversations. 4 people that you're nurturing that said, I'm going to move in the spring of 2022, and you're checking in with them now. Does that make sense? And 2 is 2 videos a day. That you're going to shoot 2 videos a day. Some of you are like, oh, wait, that sounds like work. I have to talk to a lot of people and film content? Yes. Now, you ready? Shh. So a local guy not too far from here, Peter Rader, good agent. Peter, in March of this year, was on one of my live blueprint events, and we did a little Q&A. I don't know if ever you caught this, and he was like, Tom, I'm spending all this money on advertising, and I'm trying to figure out how to go to the next level. I'm like, Peter, how many people do you have on your phone? He's like, hold on, 1,850. And I'm like, okay, so you have 1,850 people in your phone, and Peter, be honest, you've been coaching live for a long time. How often do you talk to him? And he's like, and I knew that meant never. So I'm like, I got 10,000 bucks, says you won't call every person in your phone in the next 120 days. Think he did it? A week in, he's supposed to text every day. Hey, it's Peter. This is what I did. Here's the results. Every day. First week, he killed it. And then you know what happened? He caught the bug. Now, he didn't win the bet, but it didn't matter because he made so much darn money. It's bonkers. But I won because it was another reminder for my best clients. If you just pick up your phone and talk to the people that already know you, like you, and trust you, and work with, he's like, Tom, I haven't talked to some of these people in a long time. What do I say? I'm like, I have a killer script. You guys want a killer script? Write this down. Ready? Hey, it's been forever. How are you? That was the script. He's like, hey, it's Peter. It's been forever. How are ya? Oh my God, Peter, how are you? What's going on? What are you guys doing? And that was it. That's all it was. He was like, this is too easy. But look at his numbers. He had 850 conversations. He booked 57 listing appointments. That's 6% conversion of the people he talked to. Research and right now listings. Research phase, we want to move in the spring, and right now. Peter has completely transformed his business. He does all Zillow, he does Google, he does all that stuff, but what he finally realized is there's gold in his phone, and he finally got out of his way, scheduled it, and made the phone calls, and now he's killing it. Make sense? All right, plays that work. Now, if they ask how's the market, that's a really good script. The market is actually really challenging. We simply don't have enough homes for the number of buyers who desperately want to buy. It's a classic supply and demand issue. It reminds me of high school again. I'm curious what's on your mind. If you guys had any thoughts of selling, that's how you win, knowing what to say. By the way, there's some that's old data. That was like summertime data. The average American's home value went up by 51%. Guess what that number is today? It's right at $100,000. The average homeowner's gained $100,000 in equity in less than 12 months this year. That's more than the average American gets in a paycheck. They made in equity because they own a house, right? So pretty bonkers, good things to share. I love this one. But Tom, when's the market gonna normalize? Well, does everybody see those numbers on the left column there? In a normal market, interest rates are 5.1%, right? They're at like 2.88 right now. That's not normal. Price appreciation is at 18%. That's not normal, right? 2.6 months of supply is definitely not normal. In King County, up in Seattle, it's like 4 days. That's how much the average time on market, 4 days. It's bonkers. Days on market average 35, 17. Offers per listing, 2.2. We're at 3.8, and you're probably higher. The point is, look up here, guys. If you're the knowledge broker, you know all that information. So when people say, how's the market? You're not just saying, hey, the market's great. Oh my God, things are on fire. But instead you're saying, well, what part of the market are you interested in? Because we're definitely in an abnormal marketplace right now. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, in a normal marketplace, interest rates are at 5. Right now, you can get a 30-year fix at 2.88. And the Fed was telling us the rates were going to go up, and they actually dropped, right? Like, it's being the knowledge broker. All right, let's keep jamming. This one, do me a favor, turn to your buddy and say, non-negotiable. You have to do it. All right, so you ready? I want you to create one CMA every day and email it to a client. Can you do that? We call it the CMA a day campaign. Bill Pipes, right, pretty infamous coach in our world, comes up with this strategy. He's like, I got all these high-end agents that are sitting around waiting for something to happen, and they're all making a fortune right now. He's like, what if I got all my best clients to send CMAs to everyone that bought a house 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and here's all he does. Tell me your name, sir. John, ready? He sends a video. Hey, John, Tom Ferry, Banana Real Estate. This is going to be the best video and email you receive this month. I put together your home's new value. OMG, John, you should have bought 2 houses. Congratulations. Make sure you open up the file, take a look at it. I'm going to call you tomorrow. Because if there's anything you've done to improve the value, I want to know so you know how much it's really worth. So I'll call you tomorrow, John. Congratulations again. Boom. One a day. Here's the current numbers. Every 17, it's a come list me call. Every 17. So every 17 days, they're getting a come list me call. That's a play that works. Is everybody with me on this? Yes or no? Okay, let's keep jamming. Ready? By the way, that's the campaign. Pretty basic. All right, number 4. I'm going to go a little crazy here. Tell your neighbor, show your neighbor on fingers. Today's Thursday, yes? Show your neighbor on fingers how many Facebook posts, Instagram Reels, YouTube stories, YouTube videos, LinkedIn posts, Snapchat, and TikTok. Approximately how many posts have you done so far this week? Just show your buddy on fingers. No talking required. I'm like, I got to be 80 already. Right, see, I like that. Yeah. You better be. Now, shh, so come back up here. Shh. Okay, write this in your notes. You ready? Write this in your notes. They've already forgot who I am. They already have. And I love this. I love people that do this. But Tom, I only want to put out one quality piece of content every month. And my response is, who's defining your quality? You? No, your consumers, your friends, your past clients. You know the best content that I put out? The best content, me doing something stupid behind the scenes, me jumping on a trampoline, me holding my wife's hand, has nothing to do with being the #1 business coach in real estate. Almost nothing, right? It's me being a goofball behind the scenes, because you know what he says? Oh my God, he is real, right? He's human, right? Because if all you're trying to do is be perfect realtor, no one cares. I don't want a perfect realtor. I want someone that's friendly that I can relate to. I want someone that can help me navigate. I'm buying a house in Wyoming right now. The guy that's helping me, every time I get to town, he's like, let's go get a beer. Let's go for a hike. Are you bringing your dog? Is your wife coming? Is Nana going to be here? Like, he is a part of the fabric of my family. You with me? And he's an agent. And I've looked at properties with him twice. But he is like sticky with me. Does that make sense? Isn't that what you want to be? And I'm like, dude, you live in Jackson Hole. Man, just every day, take a photo of the sunset. Every day, take a photo of the sunrise. Every day, show me walking your dog. Show me the changing of the colors. Show me when the first snow hits. Show me when it becomes the mud season. Show me everything. And guess what? I know him. I understand him. I like him. Here's $25 million. You with me? Like, it's crazy. That's how much, like, killing it. So, a couple things you want to think about. Ready? I asked you how many videos. This is what should scare you. 81% of consumers today make all of their decisions based upon the video that they watch. Tell your buddy how many videos are on the front page of your website. Tell your buddy real quick. Of course. Now you ready? Shh, I got your wrestling here. I really shouldn't share that with you. Oh, I'll do it anyway. Okay, ready? Here's the 3 reasons why most of you aren't creating a lot of video. You don't know what to say, right? So you get in your head. And I'm like, you know the thing when people say, hey, can you show me around town? And you say, oh, you need to look at this, see this, see that? That's what you say. You know when someone says, how's the real estate market? And you answer those questions all the time? That's what you say. But we're trying to like can it and make it perfect and, hi, I'm Tom Ferry. No one wants that. They want like, hey, dude, let me tell you what's going on in the marketplace right now. If you called me dude, I'd buy a house from you. You with me? Because that's speaking my love language. But if you try and be perfect, I'm like, nobody's perfect. Serial killer, right? You know what I'm talking about. Number 2, you ready? The reason why people don't do it, they don't like how they sound or look. Well, heads up. Raise your hands if you're female. Raise your hands really high. Okay, you ready? I get it. I'm married. My goddaughter, she's 20. Oh, you don't understand. It's just so hard to be a girl. I'm like, shut up. I get it. I do, because I create a lot of content, and I'm like, oh man, is my chin getting too big? Like, does my suit look right? Like, and then I say to myself, who gives a shit? You with me? If you're, like, how many of you know this agent? You get their business card, and you go like this. How many of you know what I'm talking about? And you're just like, is your daughter coming to the appointment? You know what I'm saying? But do you understand that in that moment, your desire, your vanity, really, your desire to look perfect, the consumer says, and what else does she lie about? What else does she lie about? The best videos ever are of my female clients who are just raw and real, coming out of the gym, hat on backwards, no makeup on, and they're like, oh my God, I just got my ass kicked. But you know what? This person just asked me, is now a good time to sell their house? And it's funny, like I can be in the gym and I get asked that question. It could be because my t-shirt has my branding. But anyway, and they're just having like this honest conversation with people. Those are the videos that are the best. When the hair is too perfect and the makeup's too done, ready? By the way, and the other part is like, well, I don't like how I look. Well, what are you gonna do when you show up on the appointment? You show up, they're like, ah, right? Like, just saying, right? But the third one is you just don't know how to do it, and that's just silly, because how many of you have who's got a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 8-year-old, 7-year-old, 6-year-old, 12-year-old? They will all love to go, hey, Mom, I can do it, and they're all gonna do this. Hold on, Mom. They're either gonna go here, right? Or they're gonna go here because they really like you. This makes you look thinner, Mom. You're doing great. Right or wrong, guys? I have a client in Atlanta, Georgia. Her granddaughter was her videographer at 9 years old. Her granddaughter. So we're at a seminar, and I'm like, you should have your granddaughter be on the show with you. And she was like, now she's 70. You with me? 70. In Atlanta. Now it's her and her granddaughter. And she's like, you know, honey, I get this question all the time, is now a good time to buy and sell real estate? And the granddaughter, they practice the script. The granddaughter goes, well, you know, Granny, with rates as low as 2.8%, money is cheap. People are gonna brag about their interest rate for the next 30 years if they don't buy a house. Like the 9-year-old. You guys with me on this? I would see that video as someone with kids and be like, I love her. Right or wrong? Okay, so you gotta be a little resourceful. Stop making excuses. By the way, this is my favorite website on the planet. Write it down, jarvis.ai. I'm not an investor, but I want to get in. There's a button in the right corner. You guys see it in yellow? It says video script. So you're like this, I don't know what to say. What do you want to talk about? 3 reasons to buy a house in New Jersey. You just write that in and it writes the entire video script for you. Oh, remember earlier when I said, I'm gonna put Elon Musk's thing in my head? Yes, now you're getting it. But wait, there's more, right? What if you also typed in moving to blank city where you live, buying a home in blank city where you live, living in blank city, and you had Jarvis write the script. And what Jarvis does is it scours the entire internet for the well-written best content. And then it creates an original piece of content for you, and it says, here's 3 different scripts, 5 different scripts. You can modify the script. Can you read? Can you read? If you can read, we've handled what to say. Does that make sense? Now, here's what's great, guys. Shh. See that SEO little phrase there, those 3 letters? These are some of the most searched terms in your marketplace. What if you all went out today, you got in your car, and you took your iPhone and you stuck it up like this, and you drove through your town and said, hey, I'm Tom Ferry with Banana Real Estate. Thinking about moving to New Jersey, you would say your city, right? Thinking about moving to Hoboken? I'm Tom Ferry with Banana Real Estate. Let me show you the 7 things you need to know if you're moving to Hoboken. And then you start driving around the neighborhood and you educate people like you would with the buyer in the car or someone that was thinking about the area. Those videos right now are getting come list me calls. Do y'all hear what I just said? Because everyone is searching first. And here's what's great. Write this down because I don't know if it's in my notes. There's a site called TubeBuddy, T-U-B-E Buddy. TubeBuddy will actually tell you on Google, people are searching for this phrase and there is no video. Did y'all hear what I just said there? It will literally tell you 1,800 people a month search for, is buying a home in Hoboken overpriced? But there's no video and there's 1,800 searches. What do you think happens on Google when you create a video and you title it that way and you actually answer the question? What do you guys think happens? Google puts you at the very first thing the consumer is going to see. Does that make sense? But that's probably a bad idea. It's better to be a secret agent, right? Just saying. Buying in, living in. So Jill, right? A bunch of my besties down here. Listen to this. My brother Patrick started testing this in San Diego. And so no one else listened. San Diego is a ferociously competitive environment, like all real estate markets are these days. He creates all three of the videos, and then instead of just having the video, you know what he did? He advertises the video on Google. He advertises the video. He puts money behind it, like you would boost a listing you have on Facebook. He puts money behind it. And all of a sudden, he's getting 8,000 views, 10,000 views, 15,000 views, 20,000 views, and he was just testing it. Now all of his clients are doing it. Now you got, one of our coaches, David, is teaching this. Jason is teaching this. This is the next step for you guys, right? So if you have no videos, those would be the three I would shoot. Does that make sense? All right, let's keep jamming. By the way, answerthepublic.com, one of my favorite websites on the planet. Answer the Public will tell you the questions that people are asking about real estate housing your city, and then you can take just the question and then you put the question into write the video script, and it writes the video, and then you read. Make sense? And by the way, ladies, raise your hands really high. Mess your hair up before you do it, and put your glasses like this, and then go, hi, I know. Everyone's trying to be perfect on YouTube. I'm just over it. I just want to help people buy and sell real estate. And you go into your script, and you know what's going to happen? Share, 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 share. I know this because one of my clients in Sydney, Australia was the first agent to accidentally fall in a pool on a showing. Now agents do it like for fun. You with me on this? Like he was like the camera guy's going, and he was like, and okay, so mate, if you hear any, and he just like he's like legitimately cell phone, wallet, everything falls in the pool, and he's like texting me, I just fell in a pool. I'm like, you have to publish that video. It got like 100,000 views. 100,000 views. His business blew up. He became a celeb. You're the guy that fell in the pool. In Australia, they like that. Let's have a beer, mate. Let's go, right? All right, let's keep jamming. So you're going to do that. So where are you going to get stuck? Okay, you ready? Write this in your notes. This is where you get stuck. If it's not in your schedule, you don't do it. If it's not in your schedule, you don't do it. Everything I'm talking about, schedule, 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 up and visual. Here's my video schedule. Here's my marketing plan. Common sense, my friends. Okay, let's jam. We got a few more, and then we're going to do a little Q&A, and then we got to bounce. All right, minimum one mailer a month to your entire database. Minimum one mailer a month. By the way, in your notes, write this down. In January, you need to have what's called the proof of success. The proof of success is a single page, a dual page, a trifold of the picture of every house you sold in your marketplace in the last 25 months. You with me? Like go all the way back to like the end of 2019. Here's the number of people you could do all of this year. If you had a monster year, you could do the last 2 years. My point is, the more houses, the more photos, the better. Can you do it on rentals, yes or no? Yeah. Can you have a rental section? Of course you can. Should you start highest price and go down to lowest price? What do you guys think? What do you think? So they're like, oh my God, she sells this price range and that price range? I can buy my $2 million house and get my kid a $400,000 condo from the same agent? Awesome. You show that. And I love this. Like someone will go, but Tom, like I only did 8 deals last year. What do? Make the photos bigger. That's it. Just make the photos bigger. So happy to help these wonderful families buy and sell, blah, 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 blah. But understand this, guys. Look up here. Remember earlier I said, it's about your brand. It's about your marketing. It's about scaling your trust. That's the first thing of flight to quality. Well, if you're not telling me how many people you served last year, if there's not a photo of like for you of you and the team saying we were so proud to help this many people buy and sell real estate, and then what do you also put on there? And received 475 5-star reviews, and you got 6 or 7 reviews on that marketing piece, then you've got a map that shows every transaction you did, like a Google map, you just post it on there, they're like, oh my God, this gal's everywhere. Does that make sense? That is the ultimate January and February marketing piece. Then it goes on Facebook, then it goes on LinkedIn, then it goes on everywhere. Does that make sense? Like, that's a no-brainer. Tom, I'm a brand new agent. Take your office, all of their transactions, put it on a marketing piece and say, a team always outperforms an individual. So happy to be a part of this team helping all these people buy and sell real estate. Don't take credit for it. Just acknowledge that you're on this team and everybody sold a lot of houses. All right, you guys got that? Got it? All right, now, this is my favorite marketing piece currently. So, Robert Mack team, right? He doesn't send out just sold cards, he does case study marketing. So if I was gonna get one thing from you a month, I want the case study of how you helped a buyer. I want the case study of how you helped a seller. So you can see in this piece, they're like, here's what we did, right? Home preparation and marketing with the Robert Mack Group, case study of Nebraska Palace or Place in Costa Mesa. Week 1, hire the contractor, handyman, design, staging, paint, interior, blah, 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 blah. Week 2, seller preparation. We removed the furniture, we staged it, we did this. Week 3, we did that. Week 4, we did this, and boom, what happened? The result, 40 private showings in 5 days, over 5,000 views on Zillow, Realtor, and Redfin. Redfin designated as the hot home. Multiple offers received, sold in 11 days for $86,200 above asking, listed at $998, sold for this, a record price. And then the kicker is the other piece, the before and after photos, where people see the transformation of why he took 4 weeks to do it. Does that make sense? You sending out a just sold card is stupid. You with me? Sold. Well, duh, in this market, surprise. Right? Think about it. But instead, they tell the story of when you list with us, we don't just put it in the MLS. We do all of these things because our clients want record prices. And we have a playbook that we run that makes that happen. That's a really good marketing piece. I love this marketing piece. Who can tell me why? What was it again? Why do I like the QR code? Okay, have you guys been to a restaurant in the last 20 months? I was at one last night. There was a menu. I was like, whoa, what? I don't know how to use this. I want it on my phone where it's safe, right? QR codes will last, like, I remember when they came out in 2011 at the National Association of Realtors, and like everybody was like, I'm putting a QR code on everything, and no one liked it and no one used it. But COVID put QR codes on steroids, and they'll last for a little bit longer. But you know what's great about this? It's really hard to really measure effectively direct mail outside of, I know I mailed to this community and I got a few phone calls, but you'd get a few phone calls. But what was hard is how many people went to my website, how many people went to my Zillow page, how many people went to my Google My Business page. By putting the QR code on there, you're driving them right back to your GMB, your website, your Zillow page, whatever it is you want. Now you're seeing the site traffic increase. That's why you want to do it. That's why I love it. All right, let's go to number 6, for your very best. So the timing is good. You ready? Write this in your notes. Write this in your notes. No gifts for your past clients until January. Write it down. No gifts for your past clients until January. Why do you guys think I'm saying that? You're like, I don't even want to buy my past clients a gift. So what are you talking about? I want to never talk to them again. No. If I send you a gift in January, which I have been guilty of doing that in the past, or excuse me, in December, you're inundated by everything else in Thanksgiving and Christmas cards and holiday cards and Hanukkah and everything else. So you send it in January, you send it in February with a thoughtful handwritten note that says, I was thinking about helping you guys last year and what we went through, the first offer, then the second offer, and finally, it wasn't the third offer. We finally found your home. And it was just a pleasure to work with you guys, and I'm just so happy you got to spend your first holidays there. Love and kisses, Tom, your favorite realtor, right? And then there's a bottle of wine, or there's something that's meaningful for them. You with me? And it shows up in February, has much greater impact than one of many that they got in November, December. Does that make sense? Okay, so here's one. My client John in Beverly Hills, super, super smart. He took the 100 people that either refer him the most or have used him the most, and he's like, what do you get for, he's in Beverly Hills, right? So John's gonna do, $500-600 million in sales, has a monster business, very successful, he and his wife Lauren, just salt of the earth, good human beings. He was like, look, I used to send him wine, and then people would say to me, oh, by the way, I stopped drinking like 10 years ago, and you're sending me wine, thanks. And then he was like, what do you get for someone that is worth the kind of money that it takes to buy an $80 million house? He's like, the only thing I thought I can give him is either access or information, which I thought was really smart. So he buys 100 copies of Tony Robbins' Money Mastery book, thinking, whatever, $15, $20 book, but he mails it out to 100 people with a handwritten note that said, I read this book and I thought about you and I thought about all the time and the insights that you shared with me. I found this book impactful. I hope you find it as well. Just know that I'm always thinking about you. Love and kisses, John and Lauren, and sends out the 100 books. And everyone, oh my God, hey, I've already read that. It was an amazing book. Oh, I wasn't aware of that. Hey, how's, blah, blah, blah. Like it created all this dialogue with his 100 best clients. Does that make sense? Just something to think about, right? All right, number 9, you need to be doing 2 community events a year. 2 community events a year. I don't care if that is the Halloween patch, which we just missed. I don't care if that means you're gonna go buy 100 turkeys and you're gonna give them out to people, right? I don't care, but look up here, guys. Look up here. We are in a relationship business, yes or yes? If you can break bread, have fun, have a drink, be social, connect with them, people love it. But Tom, I don't really like people. You picked a weird business, right? Find the face of your business. You be the operator. Let the face go do it. 2 community events a year. And I'll tell you right now, guys, the event that I'd be doing more than anything else, and you really, like the timing on this is super delicate, taxes. All the tax laws are going to change next year. Is everybody clear on that? And they're not going down. And what are you going to do if the 1031 exchange potentially goes away or gets lessened? So who's your best 1031 exchange attorney expert that you could do a Zoom call and invite all of your database to come join? Who is your best stager that you could talk about home staging? Who's the best person in your group to talk about taxes and what to prepare for? Now you might say, well, I don't know anything. That's why you bring an expert in and say, I wanted to get educated, and then I thought, if I'm going to get educated, I thought I'd invite all my best friends and my past clients in Sphere, come join us, let's listen to this person. And you know what you do, my friends? You become that person. They're like, wow, like, she's really cool. She introduced me to a decorator, a designer, a this, a that. I learned more about this and more about that, because you're just getting people involved. Make sense? Okay, the other one that I love is you got to do a client appreciation party. Now, probably hard to get it done between now and the end of the year, but why not do it in February or March? Why not do it between February and March? Why not plan a big spring blowout? Why not do a everyone leaves because it's hot in the summer party in like June or July? My friends, I throw parties for my clients, and yet like last night, just drinks and fun and hanging out and whatever it is, because you know what? When we break bread and we have a glass of wine and we get more intimate beyond just business, that's when the relationship gets sticky, yes or no? Yes or no, guys? But Tom, I don't have the budget for this. Then make it a potluck and say, I'm bringing this. Everybody bring something. My buddy Scott, who used to run a little company called Bank of America, you guys familiar with them? Right? He's got a huge ranch in Texas. He was like, come to the annual Scott and his wife hog thing in the ground, whatever that is. Like they're cooking a pig roast, thank you. You can see that I'm a really good Texan now. A hog thing in the ground, pig roast. They call it barbecue, I think. I'm reading about this. But the whole thing, this is, it's Scott Harkless, right? He's doing this monster thing that he's done forever. And you know what? It's a big community function. He brings in past clients and friends, and it's just a great thing. So stop for a second. Look at that list before we transition and ask yourself, what are the new plays I need to run in 2022? And then write them in your notes. What are the new plays you need to run in 2022 to improve your business and make it sustainable? What are you going to do? 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 I say run plays that work. And by the way, you're taking a photo of the slides, dude. I'm going to get you all the slides. Don't worry about it, but I appreciate it. Are you taking a picture of me? Me drinking bourbon on stage? Yes, let's go. All right, so do me a favor right now and tell your neighbor, what are the 3 to 5 most important things you're going to do from this morning? What are the 3 to 5? You're going to get your Google My Business page done? You're going to add 100 photos? What are you going to do? Tell your neighbor. What are you going to do? Okay, so come back to me. Shh. Can you please read that phrase out loud? On three, ready, 1, 2, 3. It's not an inventory crisis, people. I know plenty of clients and plenty of friends that have more listings than they know what to do with. They don't have time to launch them all. They've got them stacked up in their office waiting to get, basically organized. And then I know others that are complaining that there's no inventory. It's an execution issue. You with me on this? It's taking everything we're discussing and keeping it simple. It should be up. It should be visual. I should be clear on exactly what I want. All my numbers of appointments up on the wall. I'm going to track and measure everything. It's keeping it simple. That's how you win. So I'm giving you guys a gift. See what that says? What does it say? Okay, so I really actually shouldn't do this because the number of clients that are now texting me and saying, OMG, WTF, which is, oh my God, where's Tom Ferry, in case you're wondering, are literally saying to me, I sent out the letter to 1,800 people and I got 11 phone calls and I got 6 listings. Holy shit. So let me give you the backstory. You ready? Here's the backstory. About, 5 years ago, I was doing a research piece. I was trying to figure out, just to give you the real context for it. In Europe, there's not a lot of tracking and measuring. There's no MLSs. There's no associations. It's the wild, wild west, right? But I was trying to figure out what percentage of the homes in Europe, with 700 million people, right? How many of those properties are owned as investment properties, right? So that was like my thesis. If I could figure that out, then the biggest company there, the CEO of the company is my personal client. He's got 29,000 agents. Then we could really become the company that helps people that have second and third and fourth generation properties that are investments to trade them up, trade them down, et cetera. Like that was my thesis. And then of course I'm frustrated because I can't find the data, but I got it on Australia, I got it on New Zealand, I got it in the US, and I got it in Canada. So in the US, you know how many homes there are, right? How many homes are there in the US? You're in the business, you should know this. Do I need to speak slower? How many homes are there in the US? There's 138 million. You should know that number. There's 138 million homes in the US. More interesting is that 22 million of them are SFRs, single family residences, anybody? Are SFRs that are owned by investors. So 22 million of the 138 are investment properties. But here's a fun fact. You ready? 80% of them are owned by people like you and I, mom and pop investors. Once you get north of 10 doors, you are deemed an institutional investor, and now there's a whole series of additional write-offs and benefits that you gain, right? But 80% of them it's like your parents own two investment properties. You know what I mean? It's like that's the typical scenario. And they bought them 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or grandma passed away, God bless her, and they kept the property and they made it a rental, right? So 80% of the 22 million, and I'm like, okay, let's think about this. What has happened to home prices in the last, forget just the last 20 months, 17%, what's happened to home prices since 2010? I mean, the median sales price in the US went from like in the 2s to in the 4s. That's a double. You with me on this? And you guys don't live in Nebraska. You with me? You don't live in like Southern Illinois where one of my clients who her average sales price went from $89,000 to now it's $195,000 and she is killing it. Can you imagine selling an $89,000 house? Everybody in Normal, Illinois, that's actually the name of the city, Normal. I'm like, it should be called Abbey normal, but that's me. Everybody there sells 50, 60, 80 homes a year. You want to know why? Because they have to. Because when your average commission is $1,300 or $800, right? So everything has got up in value. My thesis was, if I was an investor today, which I am, and I get phone calls like, hey, you bought that duplex in Costa Mesa for $750. It's now worth $2.5 million. Have you had any thoughts of trading it up, 1031 exchanging? The answer is, I'm always interested. Do you have something else I can trade it into? You guys with me on this? Yes or no? Okay, that's the game. It's Monopoly, right? That's the game we're playing. So I start looking at my clients and saying, okay, look, step one is just pull the list in your marketplace, right? Go to your title rep. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? And say, hey, can you guys pull up some research for me in the tax records to let me know how many single family residences are owned in my area under an LLC or an LLP or an S Corp or a C Corp, or you just see the same name and they own like 5 or 6 properties, right? And the first thing you want to do is just compile the list. And then you start realizing, OMG, there's people that live all around me that own 5, 8, 10, 15, 20 units. And then what do I want to do? I want to create a campaign, right? So a bunch of my clients, right, the Brit Bear specifically, he takes we just start riffing on like what the letter could be. Now, he didn't send the letter out in a Keller Williams envelope. It was sent out in a hand-addressed, hand-stamped, non-branded envelope. Is everybody with me on this? And it would be even better if the card was this big and it was cream colored and there was a wedding cake stamp on it. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Because the whole game is get them to open it up. But if it says Banana Realty, this company, that company, they're like, real estate, trash, right? But instead, and again, it gets mailed to their house, to the owner's house, not the investment properties. Here's the letter. Hope this finds you doing well. I've been searching for a home in blank neighborhood, name the neighborhood for my client. They've been looking for a single family home. When I showed them the homes in this neighborhood, they fell in love with the area, but as you know, there's nothing on the market. I saw that you own a property at 124 Banana Street. It's an investment property. I'm curious, with prices peaking and interest rates so low, would you be against selling that property? So would you be against it? We can work with your tenants in finding a new home. And of course, because I work with lots of investors, it'll be painless for you. If you have any thoughts about trading up, I can facilitate that through a 1031 exchange with no tax consequences here in Arizona or across the US. Would you let me know by simply texting me yes or no? So he sends this out to like 1,800 people. And he talked about this at the summit. He's like, all of a sudden my phone's blowing up. No, 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 no. And he would do this. Thank you so much. Because you're not in my phone, I assume you got my letter. Can you please give me your address so I know not to market to you anymore? And they go, that property is 12345 Banana Street. And he's like, oh, tax search. Thank you, Mr. Jones. I appreciate that. I'm curious though, at what price would you sell that property? After the no. You guys with me on this? It's beautiful. And then he starts getting yeses. And he told the story in front of, thousands of people at my conference recently. He's like, all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we want to sell. We've been thinking about selling. Oh, I own 8 other properties. Could you sell those also? From one letter. Does that make sense? So turn to your neighbor and say, please do not do this. No, seriously. Because if all of you do it, it'll ruin it. But if 8 of you do it, you'll make a fortune. Look at the thing on the left. Here's what he said. He sent out 6,350 letters. That was as of 9/21. Conversion rate was only 2%. Cost of the letter was $7,000. Total in commission profit, $122,000. Spend 7, make 122. Who would do that? Say aye. Right? So what if you said, I'm not going to send out that many. I'm going to do 1,000, 800, whatever. But start. Does that make sense? All right, that's him, by the way. Level 10, no apologies. All right, so as we wrap, what actions are you going to take? You wrote down a bunch of stuff. You shared the list, but here's the key. You ready? What's the new accountability you're going to create? Because it's easy to sit with your buddy in a seminar and go, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and then you go back to your office. So stop for a second, and I want you to write in your notes because there's no slides on this. Please write this down. You ready? What change do you need to make to your office between now and the end of the year? You with me? Like maybe you need to go in and take everything that's in your office and throw it in the trash and start over with a clean slate. You with me? Maybe you need a living plant in your office, and you name it client experience. So when it's growing and thriving, everyone knows how you take care of your clients. And when it's dying, and a client walks in and it says client experience, and the thing is, they know who you are. What are the visuals you need to put up in your office? Your goal for transactions, your goal for appointments? You with me? What are the visuals you need to put up in your office? How about some music in your office? Be mindful, right? Because if you're in a cubicle environment. By the way, you guys want to know how I got my first private office? Do you want to know? Like, true story. I'm at my office, and someone like this shared all these things with me, and I took my desk, and it was a sit-down desk, and I brought in like blocks, like bricks, and I put them on top, so the desk was now standing like this, and I stood in my office, and then I had like a little, remember cassette players? Remember like boombox? And I put on music, right? And then I would do affirmations like every hour on the hour. I now command my conscious, unconscious body, give me the skills, the talent, the ability, the humor, the knowledge, whatever it takes to show you feel to get this, change your life started right now, baby, right now. I love the phone, let's go. And like did it every hour on the hour for like 30 days. And my sales manager, Greg Allard, who now works for Wells Fargo, walked in to me and goes, would you like my office? People are complaining. That's how I got my office. My point to you is this, guys. We're going into a new year, and we're going into a new cycle. We're going into this new growth opportunity. And if you go in surrounded by muck and all the old stuff and the mess, you with me on this? It's time to clean it up. Okay, second thing on your list, write this down. If I don't see a marketing plan for December, January, February up on your wall, I already know next year's gonna suck. If I don't see a marketing plan that says, ready? Let's keep it simple. My database, email. My database, direct mail. My database, video content. I'm just gonna do those three things in December, January, and February. I'm gonna talk to 5 people a day. I'm gonna talk to 10 people a day, right? You're putting all that stuff inside there, and then it's up and visual. There's no more thinking. Does that make sense? Then, if I was your coach, I would say to you, we've got to get it all into your schedule. So between, now and, I don't know, tomorrow, you know what you should do? Every day I get up at this time, and it's calendared every day across for the rest of your life. And every day I do my morning routine, and here's the things I do, and it's calendared in Outlook or Google, whatever you use, for the rest of your life. Make sense? Do you have lunch basically at the same time every day? Right? Some of you are like, I never eat. Well, that's a schedule issue, by the way. And by the way, low blood sugar and chronically dehydrated is a major issue amongst real estate agents. You guys all know that? You drink too much alcohol, not enough water, and you don't eat enough. So you all know what I'm saying. Does that make sense? So I want to just challenge you, because it may be the last time that I ever get to talk to you guys. I hope not. So as we get into wrapping it up, I think we're going to do some Q&A. So Rudy, you and me, right? Are we doing this? Hey, can we give Rudy and his team another giant round of applause for this, guys? Super fun, man. Super fun. All right. Oh, yeah, good. I'm right on time. I'm following my schedule.
You absolutely are.
Oh,
Mic
by
check.
the way,
All right.
take a look at these two, because I want all that done as well.
Wait. Round of applause for Tom, please.
Thanks, guys.
The man.
I'll sit.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and sit over.
Dude, I can't
Weren't we
sit.
supposed to have 2 more seats up here? Stools?
Don't worry about it. You
all
guys
right.
sit down, be comfortable. I got you.
You all right if I stand?
Yeah, I don't mind.
No, you can sit.
I may have to
Sitting
stand
is like smoking. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I'm going to do the same.
All right, everybody, give him a round of applause.
Okay. I know you, because you had asked for a bunch of questions, but we should definitely get in the audience too and find out what's on their mind.
I agree.
Yeah, that's pretty
And
awesome.
I actually want to
appreciate
I'm
that.
actually going to walk all the way over there, because I want to talk to people over there.
Awesome.
All right. So
Any more
you
mics?
guys start. I'm still here. I have a microphone on, but I'm going over here. What's up, guys? Okay, you, right, stand up. You with the sunglasses on. Yes, you. Okay, she goes, I had eye surgery. I'm like, because otherwise I was like, what's up, man? Like, she's a total, like, rock star. I saw you staring at me the entire time, really taking it all in. I just want to say thank you. Okay, now grab your seat. Okay, it's all good. Okay. But did you have the surgery or you're getting the surgery? Okay, all right, cool. I would keep them on all the time. Because you know, like, she kind of has like a Yoko Ono vibe now all of a sudden. You just learn to say like darling, and it'll totally work for you. All right, okay, so questions, let's go. And I'm just gonna keep walking out and hanging out with people.
All right, so we asked on social media if people had an opportunity to talk to Tom, what would they ask? And I got pulled 4 questions.
Cool.
I'll go through them, but I'm sure that you guys are going to have some questions too. But the first question was very interesting. Because of the way the market is and the market shifts and it goes in different directions over time, it's cyclical.
Yeah.
People are asking, Tom, if you had to do it all over again, if you had to start over, if you lost everything tomorrow and you had to start from square one, what would you do?
So it's funny because I got a buddy, Glenn Stearns. If you guys have ever seen him, he's on TV. He's like the billionaire who gets dropped into a city and has to create $1 million business in 90 days or less. Right? It's a very cool show. If I start over again today, do I have a cell phone or not?
Yes.
If I have a cell phone, that's all I need. That's all I need. I would spend 2 to 3 hours a day on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, looking for trends in my marketplace. What is important to the people that I'm going after? You with me on this? I want to know my customer first and foremost, because if you don't know your customer, you don't know anything. How many of you are with me on this? Then I would be creating content all day long. I would literally spend, I don't know, assuming I'm starting over, I got nothing going on. I could be at Starbucks using free Wi-Fi and plug my phone into their outlet. You with me? I would spend all day long making comments on people I ultimately wanted to do business with, on their Facebook page, on their Instagram page. I would do all of that. So that would be a no-brainer. I would probably spend at least 2 hours a day knocking on doors. You with me on this? And then I would take my boys, because if I don't eat, they don't eat, and I would make them make phone calls with me for 4 or 5 hours a day. Now, just for context, guys, when I started my business 19 years ago, so this has a lot of meaning for me. I left running a family business where I was working 3 or 4 days a week. My dad was happy, my stepmom was happy, everybody was happy, right? But I wanted to do something different. I wanted to like build my own path, right? Like that's what I wanted to do. So when I left and started, I basically got divorced from my dad. I said, you can have everything. I just want like the freedom to go do what I'm gonna do. And he's super competitive and he didn't like that, but it was okay. Like we didn't get divorced. It was just awkward at the first Thanksgiving. You guys with me on this? And I started my business and here's what I did. I walked into my wife and I said, I'm gonna lease some space. She's like, what? I'm like, oh, by the way, I just did. I signed a lease for 3,000 square feet. I left at 9 o'clock in the morning with nothing and came home with 11 employees, 3,000 square feet, and $51,000 a month in cost. That's how I started my business. You know what that's called? Motivation. You with me? Then I would get on the phone every day for hours and I would book appointments and I would do 3 appointments a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I would get in my car and I'd drive to an office and I'd make a presentation, and then I'd drive the next one and I'd make a presentation, I'd drive the next one and make a presentation, and then I finally figured out that by Friday I was falling asleep in the car, so I asked my nephew, who's now one of my sales leaders, Joe, will you drive? Then I could make phone calls and talk to people while we're going to the appointment. All I did was prospect 12 hours a day. Then Facebook showed up. And I was like, oh, because who was on MySpace? Who was on Beluga for the 14 days it was live?
Come on, guys, show your age.
Vine, anybody? Vine, anybody? Oh my God, what is, okay, so, all right, yeah, all right. Vine was rad. You know what Vine is now? TikTok, Reels, right? It's totally the same thing, right? And I would literally spend all Saturday night and all of Sunday night after I put the kids down answering questions for people on Facebook and Instagram and engaging in the communities. And my wife's like, what are you doing? Sitting there on your computer on Facebook, you're not in college. And you know what I told her? I'm prospecting. I'm building relationships. I'm contacting people and connecting with people. And that's all I did. We did $2 million in revenue our first year. We did $6 million the next year. We did $10 million the next year because I just worked my face off. Most of you look up here. You see this guy? I'm a grinder by nature. I will outwork all of you. All of you. And I thank you, right? You want to know why? Because I got a half Chinese, half Russian, Polynesian stepmother who beat into me. Whoever works the hardest and is the nicest to people at scale kills it. That was it. I was like, I got it. And if I didn't, she'd kick my ass. You with me? And I was like, all right, let's go. So that would be me. I don't know if that answers the question.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely answers it. Tom, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What's the top, in your opinion, what's the top marketing tool?
The supercomputer in their phone that all they do is check email and text on. Your phone. Your phone is, I mean, okay, everybody, I don't even have my phone, so I'll grab yours. Okay, everybody grab your phone right now. Open up Facebook. Go to your phone, open up Facebook. It's an app, it says F on it. Okay, and I don't care what you think about metaverse and where the world's going, and we're all gonna be wearing Oculus, which I love, I'm totally ready for it. You got Facebook? Okay, open up the app. Find the button that says live. How many of you see the button that says live? Okay, so you ready? Rudy, what I tell people is, if you don't go live on Facebook, if you don't go live on Instagram, if you don't live on YouTube, look up here. It's not just another thing for video. It's the freaking algorithm. Right? Facebook came out like 4 years ago and said, we are going to be video first. The gal that runs all of Europe said, video will completely rule the world, right? We know that today more people watch YouTube every day than every cable television and network television show combined. More people watch YouTube. You know what's second? TikTok. So you tell me, should you be creating content? What do you guys think? Now, ready?
Yes.
But Tom, I went live and no one was there. How do you think I started? I started the same way. I would send my videos out and no one would watch. And I would like call my mom, call my stepmom, call my wife. Could you please make a comment? Just say something. Come home and bring chicken. Thanks, honey. Got it. And that's how you get started. Does that make sense? But that's one. But I'm telling you right now, guys, the real money today is in reels, in short form content, because people want small little sound bites of your life. Small little, so hitting live is killer, right? Because that feeds into the algorithm and you can do it every day. But let me give you all an assignment. So if are you live right now you actually went live? Hey, the girl that's going live right now, she's hotness. That's you, girl. All right, ready? So if you're going live with me, that wasn't the point. You should turn it around and go live on yourself. Okay, but now watch this. Put your phones down. Here's what I want you to do. Take on the 30-day challenge. So here's your 30-day challenge. You ready? So Rudy, get this. We have clients doing this all over the world. It is blowing up. Every time we get people to do it, they're like, why didn't I not do that sooner? So here's what you do. You write down the 30 questions you get the most from buyers, sellers, renters, and friends about housing, and you answer one a day for 30 days. Right? Now, I say you film it and then you upload it to Facebook, you upload it to Instagram, you upload it to LinkedIn, you upload it to where, like, you want to put it everywhere, because then that one video becomes 6 pieces of content. LinkedIn, your Google My Business page, right? It goes everywhere. But you do this. You don't need to say, by the way, hi, it's Tom with Banana Real Estate. They're your friend on your page. You with me? So what do you start with? You start with the question. Is the market going to crash? Are we in a bubble? I get this question 3 times a week from people that are concerned, because I understand 2007, 8, 9, and 10 were devastating for a lot of people. But when you look at the amount of equity that we have today in homes compared to 2005 and 6, the startling difference is almost $2 trillion in equity. Today, only 7% of all the homes in the US have less than 10% equity in value. Do you guys all know that? So you say, so in order for the market to collapse, right, we would have to, I don't know, the aliens would have to land and blow us up. Like, that's the only way. So there's my answer. Somebody asked me this morning on my Instagram stories, I'm thinking about buying my first house, Mr. Ferry. What do you recommend? Isn't the world going to fall apart? I'm like, I'm buying a 9-plex as we speak. What the hell are you talking about? Like, what headline is that person reading? You know what? It's a great one. Take 5 or 6 negative headlines and then tell the truth. Because you're going to start seeing headlines like this. This one just came out. Bank foreclosures have doubled in the last 30 days. They went from 2 to 4. But write this in your notes. Headlines do more to terrify than to clarify. Headlines are designed for clickbait, so I go to your channel so you can sell me more advertising, right? Like that's the game, whether it's television, print, etc. So I would do 30 questions in 30 days. How do I buy as a first-time buyer? Should I buy with a 15-year mortgage? Should I buy with a 30-year mortgage? Is now a good time to buy an investment property? What's going to happen with rents over the next 24 to 36 months, right? You answer all the questions that people ask you, and then you know what you do? Here's the killer one. Write this in your notes. If they're under 750 megabytes, I think I'm saying that right, 75 megabytes, kill the zero. If they're under 75 megabytes or they're 28 seconds or less, you can put all of them on your Google My Business page. And that's where you'll get the long action. Is everybody with me on this? Like 30 questions answered, but you know you're also going to put them on your YouTube channel. Can I give you guys one more? Okay. Could one of you please do a monthly How's the Market in your town? Hi, I'm Tom Ferry, Banana Real Estate. I've been selling real estate here in Passaic for 5 years. Studied the market every single day. In the last 30 days, we had 27 new homes come on the market. All 27 went under contract in less than 3. You tell the story like a newscaster of the market. You do that every month. And then what happens is after 2 years or 3 years, people start to say, she's the only person to call in town. She knows more than anyone else. Everyone's doing that? All right, so first of all, you say everyone, and I call, and you have 10 agents doing it? Okay, so 10 is not everyone. Okay, so no. I love this. But Tom, that's so played out. Everyone is doing it. Okay, so you ready? You want to make it better? Okay. Better lighting. No. Better lighting. Use graphics, and then advertise the show. So look at all those everyone out of the 10,000 agents. Everyone 10. Everyone. Small town. Okay, so 1,000 agents. Everyone 10. Do you get the bullshit in that? She's like, okay, it's still played out. Okay, then you don't do it, but I'm going to do it in your town. She said, no, she's competitive. So you ready? But here's how you kill them. Advertise the show. See, I've been talking about this since 2009. So I'm happy that I finally got 10 people in your town to do it. You with me? But now the next game is putting money behind it and getting 30 and 40 and 50,000 views when everyone else gets 322. Does that make sense? You'll kill it. Or not, I don't care. No, I really don't. If not that, then what are you going to do? 81% of consumers make all their decisions after a video they watch. What are you going to do? Fax people? You with me? So do you. You with me? Do you. I don't care, but do something. Because no one gives a shit. You with me? Somebody bought a ton of horses before the cars came out. They lost. Somebody put a lot of money into Blockbuster before Netflix annihilated them. It's up to you. What's your name? Galena? That's beautiful. Where are you from? Sorry, we're having a moment.
That's fine.
Okay, so formerly from Russia. By the way, any female with an accent outperforms everyone else on the planet. Some of the ladies are like, does Jersey count as an accent?
Yes.
Yes. So, Galena, female accent, make it better, but the real key is advertising. And that's it. All right, next question.
Awesome. Can I add something to that, Tom, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
A lot of people are asking, where do I find those 30 questions? Very simple. You pull up this new website. It's called google.com, right? And on google.com, you just type in top 30 real estate questions.
Right. Yeah.
So the next one is, obviously you coach a lot of champions in this business.
Yes.
What does a champion's schedule look like, morning to night, wake up to sleep?
You know, it's different for everybody because some people have kids and some people don't. Some people have dogs and some people don't. Some people live in rural markets. Some people live in city markets because I work with all those. The things they all have in common, they all have something that they do in the morning that gets them going. For some, it's, Cuban coffee and blah, right? They're ready to go. For others, it might be finding grace and peace. For a lot of them, it's some form of exercise, which could be walking their dog. They do something to get themselves mentally right because this is such a mental game. All of them are masters of their market, and they all study the hot sheets or whatever you guys call it to know new listings, new sales, etc. Like it's like breathing and studying the hot sheets are non-negotiable. You with me? They all do that. And then every one of them from there is a meeting with their assistant, right? What's the day look like? What do I need to prepare for? How many appointments? What am I doing? Every mega successful agent has a memory that freaks people out. They remember every house in their marketplace. They remember every client, right? They have this weird obsessive, like they don't know what day it is or how much money they have in their bank account, but they know every house in their community. You with me? That's kind of what makes them special. So their whole day is mental toughness, getting themselves ready, and then it's going on appointments and crushing deals. That's what the best do across the board. I don't care if it's Maxine Gellens, Jill Biggs, Tim Smith, all of them. Josh Rubin, all of them.
All right.
I'm
Guys,
sorry. Go ahead.
we got a couple, we still have about 10, 15 minutes left.
Yeah, I want to get to the audience.
yeah.
So let me start off over here on this side, guys.
Yeah, I'm coming over here. What do you got? Just raise your hands if you got a question.
If you're on
please
that
raise your hand.
side, go
I'm
ahead.
on the way.
Okay, hold on.
Don't be shy,
dude,
guys.
I got
Raise
the
your
dude in
hands.
the back. So no microphone, just yell it out. What's up? Cool. So he said, I'd love to get your take on Zillow and specifically like how people could benefit. So I got asked that question, I don't know, 7,000 times in the last 24 hours. So here's the first thing I wrote down. The leadership team has been humbled. And they're humans just like all of us. Second, I feel horrible for the 25% of their workforce that just got displaced. Third, I am rallying to as many of my friends as I can who had Zillow offers that had operationalized 20, 30, 40, 50 people that they had on their agents, who had on their salary to cover all these transactions being done. Fourth, right, I'm personally trying to figure out, can I buy as many of those houses as possible at least a 10% discount, because I think that's what's gonna happen, and if you buy in bulk, you can buy cheaper. Now, how does it impact the industry? I have a ton of my clients that have Zillow Flex, but also have Realtor.com VIP that are on HomeLight. They're on everything, right? And Google My Business and their database, because I'm a no wrong way to generate a lead guy. Like I said earlier, don't make negative comments about Zillow right now, because you're making a negative comment about the entire industry. Zillow is a part of the industry just as we all are. Does that make sense? So you might not like them, and you may think that the algorithm is stupid and whatever. Who gives a shit? You with me? So here's what I'm telling all my besties. Watch the pricing on Zillow. If it drops, you should advertise there. You with me? I'm not recommending this, but I bought a lot of stock yesterday. Went down to 65 bucks. When there's blood in the water, I jump. I don't know about you guys. Does that make sense? So how do I think it plays out? Don't be shocked when the next earning call happens that Rich and Lloyd, yada, 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 come out and say, this is where we're going. And it's going to be bold, and it's going to be exciting, and their stock's going to go through the roof because they've got unlimited amounts of capital, and they have all the eyeballs. You with me on this? How many of you guys hear what I'm saying? They have unlimited amounts of capital to deploy, and they got all the eyeballs. You know what they're going to do? They're going to start selling agent seller leads, which was the idea before iBuyer showed up. You guys got all the traffic. Why aren't you just saying, curious about the value of your home, we'll get you a good agent? So I think they're going to create a whole new wave there. Their INT business had like 3.5% increase in EBIT, which means from a profitability standpoint, like that's all their advertising. It's going through the roof. So notice like my answer is a little more tactical. I think about the people, and I think about my own clients, and then I think about the opportunity going forward. Is Zillow going away? What do you guys think? No, but congratulations. They figured out what we all knew. Overpaying for houses at scale is a bad idea. It's okay for your one buyer to overpay, but don't buy 2,000 of them and then fix them up and then start having to decrease the price. That's just a bad idea. But you know what's going to be more interesting? What's going to be more interesting is, what does Keller Williams Company do, right? Because they have an iBuyer business. What's going to happen with Eric Wu and the guys at Open Door? What's going to happen there? You with me? I think that's more interesting. What's going to be really interesting is how much more money is raised between now and the end of the year and then into next year of companies trying to go after your database to sell you your own leads back. Because that's the bigger play right now. I probably didn't answer the question in terms of what you were thinking. So what else? You got it? Yeah, I look at it purely pragmatically, just from business. You with me?
All right, Tom, we got some interested folks here.
Let's go.
What's your name? Tiffany has a question for you, Tom.
Yes.
First off, thank
Tom, thank you for all of the great information.
Yeah, thank you. You got great hair.
Thank you. Question, you talked a lot about a lot of insight, real estate insight. As you mentioned earlier, there's tons of information out there.
Yeah.
What are some of your go-to sources?
Oh, good question. Okay. So if you watch any of my content, I do a thing called Mindset Mondays. And this Mindset Monday that's going to come out in a couple of days, you know what it says? Turn off the news for the next 30 days and watch what happens to your life. You with me? Because constant negative news, Fox News, MSNBC, they're all pieces of shit. You guys with me on this? They're divisive. They make us want to hate each other. I want to create a T-shirt that says basically, fuck cancel, let's go for kindness. You with me? Because that's my mindset. So, but now, ready? Oh, no. That's my own personal belief, and thank you for clapping. That's awesome. But that's just my mind. That's called my mom. And my mom was a Mouseketeer, by the way, my actual biological mom. At Disneyland, 6 foot tall with her giant hair, 6'3". And Walt Disney said, Walt's 2'5", and he was like, her, right? So, we sang a lot and fun. In my world, I read Bloomberg. Specifically, I want to know what's going on in the Asian market because that impacts us tremendously. I check basically every day what's going on with the 10-year, every day. I read Housing Wire every day. Do you all read Housing Wire? So 5 of you, you're in that industry called housing. They are the most important media outlet for housing because they cover new construction, companies that are being bought and sold real estate, everything. They really do a good job covering the market. They have a free newsletter called Open House, which is just for agents. And it's way better than Inman because it's not who's sleeping with who sensational. It's just here's what's going on and here's what's working. Those, and my all-time favorite is KCM, Keeping Current Matters. Right? And that gives me enough depth to understand Bloomberg, Asia, plus the international marketplaces, what's going on in the US, and then Housing Wire. And then if you want to go baller for $1,500 a month, read Ivy Zelman. Ivy Zelman. Ivy Zelman. But Ivy reports all of her information to Wall Street. So she goes super heady and super deep. But see, I need to read that stuff too. So when I'm talking to people about development and what's going on and how the world's going to shift and yada, 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 I want to know it all. So thank you for asking. And you do have really great hair. Cool. Okay.
All right.
Great
Anybody
hair is a
on
good
this side
thing.
got a great question? I got one in the back here.
She's asking, what do I read?
What's your name?
Okay,
Olivia's
hold on.
got a question, Tom.
Oh, she's like, what's your T-shirt? You're going to steal my... No, mine will just say cancel, not... Or it'll say kindness, not cancel. That's probably what the T-shirt will say. Or you'll make it, and then you'll sell me one. Okay. And that, by the way, would be totally fine. I'll buy a lot of them. Tell me your name.
Olivia,
Olivia, nice to
Yes.
meet you. Olivia, how old are you?
33.
33.
Yeah.
Congrats. You look
Thank
very
you.
young. That's cool.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
5
What's up?
children.
You have 5 children?
Yes, I do.
Stand up. Holy shit. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Octomom?
Yes.
Do you remember Octomom? She had 8 kids. She lived 3 blocks from me. She drove around in her G-Wag with just babies flying out the windows, man. It's just freaking. So congrats.
Yeah,
that's
that's
great.
me.
Yeah, sweet. Okay, so how can I help, Olivia?
So my question is, what is your thoughts on billboards?
Yeah.
And what would you do different to make sure that it generates a lot of leads?
Okay, so the second part of the question was?
What would you do different from the average billboards that you see, showing different real estate agents? What would you do different to make it generate more
Okay,
leads?
so I am a fan of all media. My basic belief is since I'm never looking up while I'm driving, I'm only looking at my phone. You with me? So just keeping it real, right? I'm with one knee, right? This is why they don't let me drive much. So here's my belief. Ready? Billboards are the last thing you do. You with me? Here's why. So I coach the CEO of the largest real estate company in Atlanta, Georgia, right? He has 1,800 agents. He's got 32 offices. They crush it in Atlanta. And we had so much market share. They're like, well, what else do we do? We had Google My Business pages on every office. We have agents that are prospecting, working their databases, creating video. The CEO creates videos, all the managers. We were doing everything. And at a certain point, you're like, well, what else? And I'm like, let's see if we can get billboards. And we took like 50 billboards around Atlanta. Basically it was just brand, just Berkshire Hathaway, Georgia Properties over and over again. And then I'd drive through town and I'd see my face on there because I knew I was speaking. And I heard you guys did the same thing. And I really want a photo of it.
We actually did, yeah.
I really want to get a photo of that just so I can show it to my wife. See, I'm not a dumbass. Look, I'm doing all right, right? So I love them. In terms of the offer of what should be on there, you got to decide, is it a brand play or is it an offer play? Generally speaking, I'm not driving down the road at 80 miles an hour looking to say, curious about the value of your home, go to this website, right? But if I see a great photo of you with your 5 kids and it says, families helping families move, that would be enough for me. Does that make sense?
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Dave, how are we looking on time?
Hold on.
We still got time for a couple more questions if you want to ask.
If Tom's okay with it, yeah, sure.
Right.
And by the way, for
Okay,
those who are,
I'm gonna go right here, Rudy.
please do. For those who are starving and hungry, I think the lunch is getting here in the next 10, 15 minutes. So,
Good. Let's eat.
any second now, Lou, you have the question?
Okay.
One
I'm
from
gonna
Lou
go, I'm gonna
Ramos.
go ladies first, and then we'll go over here. I don't
Okay.
know if you're. I assume
Shoot.
you're looking at that guy. Tell me your name.
Gabby.
Hi, Gabby. How old are you?
I'm 22.
22. Oh man, to be 22 again. What are you? 21? Yeah. How old are you? Screw you. All right, 27. 27, 21. When you're 51, it's all the same. All right. Okay. So 22. What's going on?
I'm new in the
I'll repeat this. Or here, microphone. Grazie.
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Gabby. I'm new in the business and I'm kind of struggling trying to figure out, should I have a mentor, should I be a part of a team, or should I do it by myself?
Yes. Okay, so you ready? Should she have a mentor? What's the answer? Yes. Now the question is, for what? A mentor for transactions, a mentor for negotiation, a mentor to aspire to be, God, one day when I'm 27, I want to be like you. That's a good idea. You with me? Because at 21, 22, you can look to 27 and say, man, okay, how many of you remember when you were 14 and you would see old people and say, they have their shit together? Y'all know what I'm talking about? Then all of a sudden you woke up one day and you were at a grocery store and they're like, sir, would you like paper or plastic? You're like, oh my God, I'm a sir. And I still don't have my shit together, right? If you go too far, age-wise, if you go too far, it's not real enough. So to go to 27 and say, how'd you do it? What'd you learn? What works? What doesn't? Buy her a drink, hang out. That's a good idea. Mentors, always. Also, books, YouTube, the internet, tons of people out there that want you to do better, right? All free, which I love. Second thing, solo agent or team. What do you think the answer is? Team. Team. All of the growth right now in the US of successful new agents, they're on teams. All of them. All of them. It's no longer, so how long have you been in the business?
2 months.
Okay, 2 months. Could we give her a giant round of applause? Okay. It's the holidays. I'm going to give you a year of free coaching as a gift.
That's awesome.
Okay? Cool. Now, hey, that's just, you got to pay it forward, right?
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, look at, by the way, you look almost exactly like Ava, who is my goddaughter. How tall are you?
5'4".
Okay, you're too short. All right. She's like 6'1". She's like, oh, Mr. Ferry, looks down at me. But same eyes, same look. So I see her in you, and I love her, so you get the love. All right. You should be on a team. And the reason why is, like, when I started my business, I was 33 years old. I had already built a family business from like 3 million to 17 million to 30 million to 45 million. And through that journey, I matured, not just as a man or a human, but as a business person. And I was able to ride on the backs of others versus like having to do and learn everything. This is a complex business, yes or no, guys? I mean, you got to be a full-time therapist. You got to study the market inside and out. Oh, by the way, you got to be the chief marketing officer, the best videographer, and 1,000 other things. No, by the way, have a great marriage and a great life and make money and do your own taxes. It's a shit show, right? So here's the deal. When you mature, you figure all that stuff out and you get it, right? But in the beginning, I'm the biggest advocate for join a team, settle in. Someone's going to say, this is our culture. This is how we do it. We drink, sake and eat sushi on Tuesdays. That's how we do it. And then we all prospect and we all use these scripts and we all go to these trainings. And they've got a methodology. And all my broker owners in the room, right? I have mad love and respect for all broker owners, right? The challenge has been their margins have been squeezed so hard by good agents that every time you sell a house, they lose money. So they in many cases, can't afford to have the people that would do all this stuff. So teams inside of these brokerages are making that really work. So that would be my advice. Be on a team. Make sense?
Yes.
Cool. All right.
Awesome.
And
Great
welcome
answer.
to coaching.
Thank you. Can I
Good
give
job.
you my business card?
She's like, can I give you my business card? Only if you want a year of free coaching. Okay, good. All
Good
right.
answer. All right, Lou
Okay.
Ramos.
All right, we got our last question over there.
Hey, Tom, how are you? Rudy,
man.
thank you for such a
Congrats.
great event, man.
Hey, no. Don't thank me, man. Thank these guys. No, thank them.
Give him a round of applause, man.
Let's go, Rudy.
So,
Where's Josh? Where's Josh?
Where's Josh?
Oh, Josh is in the green room. All right. Josh is over there organizing stuff, guaranteed. All right, there. What's up, Josh? We're just giving you love, man. All right, question. Tell me your name first.
Lou Ramos from EXP Realty.
Sweet. Did we take a selfie earlier?
Woo! EXP's in the house. So, Tom, RE right now is at its all-time high, right?
Yeah.
Mortgage rates being super low.
Yeah.
People put in 30,
Wait, so
40,
what's at an
50,000.
all-time? What's at an all-time high?
Real estate.
Real estate? Okay.
Yeah. Mortgage rates
Is it?
being low. Offers going 30, 40, 50, 60,000.
Yeah.
I think that this animal at some point, because it's so high that it might tilt over.
What data points are you reading? That's the question you ask everyone that goes, my whole world's gonna fall apart. Could you send me the articles and reports that you're reading? And they go, no, it's just my buddy in the office who smokes weed who told me. So what are you reading? What are you reading that would cause you to say that?
Just like things that are just taking me back to 2008.
Okay,
that
so
whole
I want to
era.
be clear. So once you were bit by a dog, and therefore all dogs bite, right? So yes.
Yes, I'm terrified of the Chihuahua.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Is your personal situation, are you as leveraged today as you were in 2007, 8, 9, 10? Personally?
No.
Okay, then shut the fuck up. Because it doesn't matter. No, in all seriousness.
That's amazing, by the way.
Okay, but here's the thing. You ready? So I'm going to give you a data point all of you should write down. You ready? Here's a data point you should pay attention to. All major hedge funds right now that have REITs are buying as many homes as they can, not to fix and flip. They're buying to hold. Why? We are in the middle of inflation, and inflation is going to increase. You with me? See it in food, see it in gas, see it in housing, everything. How do you hedge against inflation? Hard assets. Number one hard asset that pays you, real estate. Then you go stocks, or if you're advanced, you tip, right? But that's it. So one of my clients, Jesse Rodriguez, a couple of my friends up here know where they over here. Jesse calls me. So Jesse's in Newport Beach, California. He's like, hey man, who's the best agent in Dallas? I said, why? He goes, because one of my hedge funds that I work with wants to buy 30 to 40 houses a month in Dallas. They'll buy north, they'll buy east, they'll buy west. They want to avoid south, 1989 or newer, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, sight unseen, 30 to 40 a month. And they want to buy a couple thousand. Who do you know that can help them? I literally called my 22-year-old and I'm like, dude, get your freaking real estate license. So if all the hedge funds are buying to hedge against inflation, and everyone that bought, remember the 400,000 properties that were bought during 7, 8, 9, 10? And then I was calling on all big institutions saying, hey man, when are you guys gonna sell these? You've made your return. The 5 years is up, the 7 years is up. And you know what they all said? Why would we sell them? Now we're getting appreciation plus taxes, plus the increases in rents. And you know what they did? They spun them off and they took them public. They spun them off and they created REITs. Guys, you're in housing. Look up here. You don't own enough real estate, bro. You don't own enough real estate. None of you in this room own enough real estate. I'm telling you, right, so I'll give you another data point. There's a guy named Donald Bren. You should Google him, right? So Bren's got to be 86, 87 now. He's on the Forbes top 25 list. My mentor, speaking of my buddy over here, my mentor who passed away a couple years ago, ran his company. They're called the Irvine Company. So Donald Bren, when he was like 77 years old, bought a building in LA called One Santa Monica Place for $360 million, $60 million over the comp. He was in his 70s. You know what he said to my mentor? In 25 years, it'll be a deal. Because everything you buy today in 25 years will be a screaming deal, right or wrong. Right or wrong, guys? Now, I would argue for you being in the business, maybe it's buying Airbnbs, maybe it's just buying straight up rentals, maybe it's like I'm trying to find properties that rent well today, but the lot value, I can have greater yield in the future that I can scrape them and maybe build condos and sell them for a bigger profit or hold them forever. Like that's the game. How many hours a day are you spending or how many hours a week are you personally spending looking for deals in your marketplace? If you all started a campaign in your business called Deal of the Month, and once a month you send an email out to everybody on your list, here's the best deal I found this month, and you actually told the story of my team and I get together and we go through the entire MLS, then we go through all the off-market transactions, then we call in a bunch of our owners that own a bunch of multifamily, and we just trying to identify one smoking hot deal, either by greater increase in yield because you tore it down and fixed it up, or because we think the appreciation or the fact that we know Costco is going over there and home prices are going to go up. And once a month, we offer it out to our email list, first come, first serve. And every agent that does that is killing it. And you know what they find? All the investors in their marketplace, all the people that want deals, and you know what they also do? They buy their own deals. Does that make sense? You guys, I say this in a loving way. Many of you work for tips called commissions. The real money is in owning it. And don't get me wrong, when you make, you know, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, when you barely get out of high school and make any money, like shit, this is good, right? But own enough real estate and you change the generations, you know, your family changes forever. That should be the game. Turn to your buddy and say, you don't own enough real estate.
Dave, hold on one second. I know we said that was the last one, but she's screaming at me over here.
All right, talk to me. Tell me your name.
Julia Gaffney, Keller Williams Prosperity, Wayne.
All right.
I just want to say thank you. I'm a coaching client. You changed my business 2 years ago. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Top 1% in the Garden State MLS because of you.
Whoa. Say it again.
Top 1% in the Garden State MLS because of you.
Give her a giant round of applause.
Because of you. Thank you.
Now the major question behind that is, who's your title company of choice? We'll discuss that later.
Oh, let's go.
Who's the title company of choice? Who you're working with? But we'll discuss that later, okay?
Hey, really fast. Hey, Rudy, before we're done.
And look at Vanessa. She got her card already.
really fast. Everybody grab your phone really quick. Do me a favor. Grab your phone. Open up Instagram. Okay? No, don't take a picture of me. Take a picture of you. I'd love that too. No. Open up Instagram, and if you're not following me, follow me. Okay? No. Let me explain. We've now documented, I've answered almost 7,000 questions just on my Instagram stories. And I answer everything from, hey, will you look at this deal? Should I buy it? To, is the market safe? To, what stocks are you buying? To, I'm sleeping with my broker. Is that a bad idea? Can I get a higher split, right? To, I'm a brand new agent. What do you recommend? Hey, I'm at 30 deals. I want to go to 300 deals. How do I hire my first? I answer all these guys, and I do it all for free. Do you want to know why? Because I'm just looking for one of you to go, I got it, and start crushing. Does that make sense? Like Julie for 2 years, who finally said, I'm going to be the top 1% of my marketplace, right? And Julie, you know what's great? If you just set a goal and work on it, it happens, right? Now, here's what's great. The market's been bonkers. What do you think happens when the market slows down a tad? The cream really rises. That's what happens, my friends. That's when the gap really begins, and all of you got a shot. So follow me on Instagram, and then as I wrap, all I'll say to you guys is, I have not been to the Northeast in 20 months. It is so freaking good to be here. So just thank you guys for doing this, and thank these guys for doing this, and all my buddies, all my peeps. All right, so I'm done. I have like no big close. Like, ta-da, event's over, or at least I'm done. The event is not over. There's a ton of stuff. You're on this afternoon, right? Okay, Jill, stand up. I have known this woman for a long time. This is Jill Biggs. Everybody say hello, Jill. Okay, now I can say this because I'm her friend and her business coach, right? Smart as shit, We'll tell you everything that she does. We'll sell at least 400 plus houses this year. We'll do north of $10 million. But is she happy? She's super happy, right?
I have something to say.
Okay, microphone. But no, I want you guys to listen, because maybe for my buddy over here, to listen to a woman that was a bartender, who raised 4 daughters, who had all the crazy excuses that she couldn't be successful, who just said, I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, someone's gonna sell all these houses, it might as well be me, right? And she was smart. She's like, if that one does it, and that one does it, and that one does it, and that one does it, I'm gonna steal what they do and make it my own. Does that make sense?
I'm going to interrupt him.
Yes.
I'm not that smart, right? I'm just coachable, right?
Yeah.
And what changed my life, right, and I'm going to give some kudos to Tom, is he changed my life, right? He's fired me as his client several times because he said, you're not listening, you're fired, right? But I became coachable. When somebody tells you to do shit, you write it down, and then you don't do anything, right? But if you go back after this and you take 3 or even 2 of the things that he said, and you do them, and you do them, and you do them, right? You end up like me, right? It's not about being smart. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be. Go get a coach. This is not a Tom Ferry coaching thing, but like that totally changed my entire life. I was a bartender, and now I drive a G-Wagon, right?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Nice,
hold on.
nice black one out front,
really,
right?
Hold on,
Okay,
really fast. Hey,
That's what I meant. Yeah, it's.
Hey, will you do me a favor and write that on my Google My Business page? That's what you have to do.
There you go.
Just saying.
That's right.
Love you. All right. Hey, guys, I'll see you guys at the lunch, and I'll see you guys this afternoon. Appreciate you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.